Good morning, SMITE fans, and welcome to another Saturday of SMITE esports action. We're going to be kicking things off with the SMITE Challenger Circuit over in the European region this time around. A little bit of a flip-flop from what our normal usual takes. My name is J Mac Tucker. I've got Charlie Relly joining me on the desk to get things kicked off for our Saturday of SMITE. As I said, we're going to be in the EU SCC to start things out. It's going to be Hex Mambo and the Styx Ferrymen for our first set of the day.
Should be an interesting one. You know, usually we're in the NA circuit here, so a flip-flop means that we're going to see some extra action, I assume.
Yeah, I believe so. Hex Mambo, Styx Ferrymen, the matchup for today and our final of all of the SCC for our third week of play for these guys. As far as the EU region is concerned, Gilded Gladiators found a 2-1 over the Niflheim Wargs earlier on in the week. That was on Thursday, and on that same day, the Highland Ravens found their 2-0 over the Aru Scorpions. We'll see now if the Hex Mambo, whenever we take a look at the standings, if they can reprise their undefeated streak, because they are the only team as far as the EU SCC is concerned that still remains undefeated at that 2-0 mark.
Yeah, it's so interesting because every time the Hex Mambo come in, because they haven't lost yet, right? Given the way they played in Phase 1, they got off to a very slow start, right? And then at the later half of that phase, they started really figuring out what they want to do, their play style, things like that, and then they started winning a lot. And now, in Phase number 2, they're still winning a lot, and we're going to have to see how the other teams are able to try and counter up against that, because the Mambo have been looking real solid.
Yeah, the Hex Mambo is still undefeated so far in the standings, but have dropped one map. That was against the Niflheim Wargs a couple of weeks ago. Other than that, they got a 2-0 over the Highland Ravens prior. And if we look over across the board for their opponent, Styx Ferrymen, they're sitting at a current 1-1. They fell to the Aru Scorpions as a 2-1, and then there was also the Styx Ferrymen able to find a 2-0 over the Niflheim Wargs. So it should be a close battle between these two teams. And talking about these teams, we do have a brief interview, a pregame interview standing by for Deathwalker of the Hex Mambo.
All right. Hey guys, it is me, basically, back at it again with another interview, and today I am joined by the one and only Deathwalker of Hex Mambo fame. He is the solo laner. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Playing against an old friend now, hi-rez. But that's about it. I mean, I guess nobody else ought to feel too bad about smacking today, but.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to get straight into our interview. I was going to ask, how do you feel about going against at least one of the higher tier EU SCC teams that has been noted in the past? They were a team that followed you guys to Masters with hi-rez in the jungle, and they also have some newer names, I want to say. Be Asriel is someone that the NA scene hasn't seen a lot, but essentially my question here is, going against these types of players, how do you kind of prepare mentally to go against both friends, newbies, foes, essentially?
Well, Asriel is I think he might actually have my number. I'm a little worried going up against him, because a couple of times I went up against him, it didn't go too well for me. He is a bit of a tier enjoyer, I think, so. I think if he knows how to sort of be in my face and abuse when he has a good matchup against me. I respect Asriel a lot. I think Gunter also. They're doing a really good job, both of them, and they're kind of. Well, I don't know if I want to say in your editions. I think Gunter has been playing last year, and Asriel has sort of stepped in last year as well. So they have some experience from before too, but their styles can be hard to deal with if you're not ready for it.
Gotcha. And I mean, the standard game has been your bread and butter. It's worked since the first split of the SCC, so I'm sure it will carry you guys at least the distance here in this second split. And so my final question, kind of relating to the game, is how does it feel going into this as the big dog, the big team that everyone's been gunning for? Everyone's been trying to take a set off of the Hex Mambo recently. I mean, not even recently, since the last split, you guys were undefeated. Everyone knows you're the top team, and they want to take you down. Does that kind of bear any weight when you're going to matches like this?
Well, I believe that nobody can take down Hex Mambo right now. We're kind of unstoppable. Maybe NA teams will have better luck, but right now, I don't know. I just don't see it.
All right. Well, he doesn't see it, ladies and gentlemen. This is a call out to all the EU SCC teams watching. You're just not enough for the Mambo. Not allowed to say that first part myself, but hey, you're a player. You're the one that can take the fine. But one final question, because I need to ask. Who on the team of the Hex Mambo is best at the 1v1 game? Who is by far the mechanical god?
Well, the problem is that on Hex Mambo, I think everybody really thinks that they are the best 1v1er. But in reality, it's me. I'm the best
Oh.
1v1er. So, yeah. I mean, they could try and take me on in a non-her 1v1. I guess, that's what they do if they feel jealous or something. But
Calling out all of the EUSCC teams, including his own, Deathwalker, ladies and gentlemen. The #1 player on the Hex Mambo, the solo laner. Thank you for your time today. If there's anything else you'd like to shout out, feel free.
Well, I just want to say... no, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. I'll
wants
just,
to say nothing.
let the wait. What did hold up? I have a quote.
Okay.
I think
okay.
as a wise man, Trixtank once said, "Let the game play and do the talk after."
Wow.
That's
That
the one.
is some serious quotes. Shout out to Trixtank's support for the Hex Mambo. You'll see him in this game we're about to get into. So I don't know why I'm still talking. We got some game to watch. Deathwalker, thank you for your time. We'll see you. Hex Mambo versus the Styx Ferrymen coming up right, well, now.
Let the game play and do the talk later. Tricks Tank probably. Gotta love that quote. Let's jump right into picks and bans for game #1 between Hex Mambo and Styx Ferrymen. And I think talking a little bit about what Deathwalker was mentioning there, Beazriel, the enemy solo laner up against him for Styx Ferrymen. He is a player that kind of just jumped into the scene as far as the SCC was concerned. Last time around, subbed in for Team Joystick, actually during the SCC qualifier lands. That was towards the World's qualification points at that point for SCC. So that was our first look at Beazriel, and Tyr was that breakout god for him, has a 100% win rate on that god in the competitive games that he's gotten a chance to play, with something that Deathwalker did hint at, so maybe we'll get to see a little bit of Tyr over there in that solo lane today, Charlie.
Yeah, we love your average Tyr enjoyer, but I haven't seen too much Tyr in the solo meta as of recent, and it looks like we're not going to see the solo.
They don't want to deal with it at all.
We're not going to see him either. Deathwalker alluded to the fact that he might want to play it, and then they were like, we're not even going to give him the chance. Even if he wants to play this Tyr, which again we haven't seen too much of in the meta, we're just going to ban that one away, as well as some just flavor of the month EU SEC picks like the Heimdall, for example. That's something that really no one in NA is banning away, but a lot of these EU teams are banning away. But that left open the Mercury.
Yeah, Mercury going to be going over to Johnny for Hex Mambo. I don't even know if we can call Heimdall a flavor of the month. That's just a flavor of the region.
Yeah,
that'd
be a better phrase.
Because that's something that the EU teams have been playing even since like Season 8. It felt like every EU SEC Hunter has been playing that god. Sometimes you even see him spiced over towards mid lane, but also Nemesis Ullr, and then the Baba Yaga and the Kali taken away by Styx Ferrymen, and then at least the Mercury first open, and then Osiris and Chernobog going to be the first ones. No surprises so far. These seem to just be the top meta picks and bans that have really been flowing across across all stages of play.
Yeah, all levels of SMITE understand why all of these picks are being grabbed here. Yu Huang, even so, very strong in the mid lane right now. Not many people are used to playing up against the Dueling Dragons, a very interesting ultimate that you can't really outplay if you don't know it's coming, you don't know where it's coming, things like that. So always be strong. That, however, is an interesting one. Usually when the Chernobog's grab, Jingwei is the immediate answer back. This time it will be the Rama, so gonna bring a little bit more 1v1 potential in lane. I think a little bit better lane clear early on as well, and you gotta love those snipes.
Just gotta say, 7 games that Ram has made it through for the EU SCC at the least, and 86% win rate. Only lost 1 of those so far. So it seems that Ram is that next go-to if Heimdall and Chernobog have been taken away, and he's been finding some success. Alongside the Osiris and the Chernobog, though, will be a Khepri. Surprised that he made it so far down in the list, and that's going to leave open some support bans the Styx Ferrymen can throw over towards the side of Trixtank. Gods that come to mind, obviously the Ganesh is one of Trixtank's favorites. You can also throw things like Sobek, Fafnir, Kumbhakar, and those are all picks that are right up Trix's wheelhouse, so no surprise to see that Ferrymen are taking a few of those away.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised even this late in the draft that we saw, because the Kumbha wasn't banned, it would still be grabbed here. There's no like glaring big ultimate to follow up off of the Kumba ult here. I mean, Dueling Dragon certainly does the job, but it's just, I think tricks like Kumba into any comp, right? It's just, you can be so annoying on, you can just be extremely safe as well. It just sets that pick so well, but you called it, and the Sobek is going to be more of that option, trying to bully out that duo lane, trying to force beads for this Mercury, I think is going to be a solid bet as well.
And then the Amaterasu, a pick that's worked very well for not only for Deathwalker, even Beazriel on the opposite side has had success with it. So both of these players in the solo lane are very seasoned with playing up against and playing as a god like Ama, and that's going to leave Vamana actually not really the god that I was expecting to be the final pickup for the Styx Ferrymen, but Vamana, as of recent, has been showing some rise-ups. We saw him during at least the Masters LAN. We saw him a little bit in NA as well. I know players like Kirmi are really enjoying to play that one. Captain Twig, whenever we think about SPL levels. So curious to see how the Vamana will perform over here for the EU teams.
Yeah, nothing on the Mambo draft is screaming to me like hates Vamana. I don't think the Yu Huang really enjoys it, but you can just go into that Celestial Flight and try and stall out that Colossal Fury as much as you can. Mercury probably not wanting to box him until late game, and then once you get an anti-heal online, you know, you're not really going to care about that. So gonna have to play this Vamana very safe until you get some damage online, and then try and run the early game with the big baby form. I imagine that's got to be the game plan here for the Styx Ferrymen.
Yeah, get a little bit of crit online, as we've been seeing a lot of Mercury, maybe even opt towards things like the Shadow Steel, or maybe even a Toxic Blade if you want to get something in there, and try and deal with what this Vamana is capable of doing, because once that god does get late game, it can be really difficult to sometimes deal with that Colossal Fury form. But let's jump right into game number 1 between the Hex Mambo and Styx Ferrymen and see how the action all breaks out. Remember, it's our final EU SCC set of the week, and our third and final one at that. Hex Mambo undefeated coming into this event, and Styx Ferrymen sitting at a 1-1 record. So the Styx Ferrymen can play spoiler and take away the last undefeated team in EU, or are Hex Mambo going to be the ones to continue that streak and remain at 3-0?
Yeah, Beazriel is starting the Golden Blade just like Deathwalker, but not going for that Death Toll, so possibly trying to get a Bumba's late game or one of those cheeky starter items that you don't want to start with, and just, you can wait a little bit longer before you decide on what you want to do with that. And of course it is going to be Ice on the Vamana jungle. Probably building a similar way as well with that Golden Blade, is trying to match some of that farm from Johnny on this Mercury, just running around the map as quickly as possible and getting to level 5. And that's when you can really start making your presence known. For both of these junglers, your ults are pretty key to the kit, I would say.
With that Vamana in the jungle. It's wild, for some reason my mind immediately went to seeing Vamana in the solo lane, just because, you know, that's traditionally where he's more often been. And then I literally named 2 junglers in SPL who have been running him jungle, and my mind was like, alright, cool, Vamana solo, we'll see how this goes. But no, it will be that Vamana jungle as you were talking about there. Mid lane, we do see Gunter starting up towards a stacking item, the Warlock Staff, tier 1 at least started up. Meanwhile, Zeros isn't going to be going for an immediate large stacking item. Could be going towards the Charon's coin. We have been seeing that become a very popular item for mid laners, but still plenty of options available to him.
Yeah, I expect to see the Charon's coin. The Chronos Pendant could be an option as well. I think Zeros has a lot of interesting builds. He was doing the Doom Orb for a while too, so any one of those items, except maybe Ratatouille, is going to be on the
Ratatouille, first item.
Well, that used to be the play, but not so much anymore, as we see Beazriel actually taking a fair bit of damage on this right side of the map as Ice trying to make a rotation over to help out his solo lane and relieve some of that pressure. I don't imagine there's any kill opportunity, and I don't think he saw that either and decided to run away from this solo lane. You know, with the fact that Johnny has beads, I don't think the Mercury is going to be getting very active here. You know, Ice got the blink, so he could certainly make his presence known. But I don't think this Merc is going to be able to find too much, as Azrael is hiding underneath that tower. Doesn't have beads, so one special delivery could result in a kill.
Pluck under the tower will get Ekrom's beads on the left side of the map. A 2v2 for the blue buff will go the way of Hex Mambo. Deathwalker and Johnny able to steal that one away. Ice chasing in, but I'm not sure that Ice wants to chase up against an Ama. This Death's Toll, making sure that Deathwalker can stay sustained in lane up against Beazriel, who has just not gotten to have a fun time ever since that second level ticked over. We do see an invade for the purple. That one will go the way of Styx Ferrymen as they're able to secure that with their hog.
You gotta love the tricks. Even knowing that the hog was up is still just gonna try to invade that buff. And I'm not gonna say waste some time, because it did also stall out some of the Styx Ferrymen, but there's no way you're out confirming hog. I should say that, but recently, I don't remember which SPL game it was. I saw someone get out confirmed even with the hog. I don't remember who it was, but you gotta hold on to that hog timer. Make sure you're confirming those buffs either way. But Trix was just making sure, hey, even if you mess it up, I'm gonna be here and slow down some of your farm. They get their own purple buff anyway, so it's not gonna be the biggest deal. The Hex Mambo are climbing ahead a little bit in the gold as of now, though.
Well, we do see Azrael able to go back to base, pick up his Golden Blade, so now it should be a little bit easier for the solo laner to clear up against this Amaterasu. Deathwalker's been getting the better end of these early trades, forcing Azrael into tower multiple times, so now we should be able to see at least a little bit of aggression over for Azrael on the Osiris. Dual lane, it's all about Trixtank, though. He has been at the enemy team tower line this entire time, and now we get to see some of the benefits of that Golden Blade. Deathwalker doesn't have his just yet, and with those cleave autos, Azrael is able to easily chop through those waves.
Yeah, and Azrael also had the teleport, something that Deathwalker doesn't have. So even if he had the money, even if he had the gold for the Golden Blade, has to back and run all the way back to base, will get his wave pushed under tower by this Osiris with these AoE cleave auto attacks, and you're gonna miss a little bit of farm because of that. And you know, it's something that you value your safety more than the teleport here. So Deathwalker just wanting to not get ganked in this lane more specifically than, you know, have those quick rotations. Ama's got some movement speed anyways. You know, later on in the game we'll call him Death Runner, but as of now he's just gonna be pretty chill up in that lane.
You call him Death Runner.
Not yet. Once he gets more movement speed.
Eventually he'll be like Death Jogger.
Yeah.
And then Death like
He could even be Death Sprinter.
Could be Death Sprinter. So sprint goes above the run though. That's like when we get late
No,
game.
that's when you actually are sprinting. Like someone would have to buy sprint for me to call him Death Sprinter.
That's when he hits full movement speed and picks up the heavenly wings.
Yeah, and he better always be in speed stance, and then I will call him Death Sprinter. But until that happens, as Trix does steal away that purple buff with some help from Echrome, I will continue to call him Deathwalker because there's not too much action in that soul lane. There's not too much action on the map, but this is sort of just, this is par for the course. This is how the EU SEC likes to play, no one really making some mistakes. I will say Trix on the Sobek is trying to force some kills, as it looks like a possible fight over here in solo lane.
Stun will be good from Azrael. That will slow down Johnny, but Totomaku will still go over to the Hex Mambo, gives them their third one of the game. Deathwalker dashes over towards Ice, who will just casually walk away from him. This Vamana not really concerned at all with what Deathwalker and Johnny are doing. Might try and go for a greater Scorpion steal. Looks like he was unsuccessful in doing so. Force him into Colossal Fury. Johnny has the dash to get out of there. Ice doesn't have the gap close to chase down. Instead, we'll go for a back camp invade while Trixtank hovering in that lurking in the water. Streak Up will crash back down. We'll get plucked back, has to use the beads. One more ability is all that it would take, but Trixtank does not have the distance to go. And instead, on the right side, Ice gets a pick on a Johnny with his back speed buff.
Yeah, I was keeping my eye on that blink timer for Ice, and it was available. Dueling Dragons does miss out. Ice is going to have to not get stunned here if he wants to live. Might have the knockup, does not, and Deathwalker gets that return kill. So the Styx Ferrymen answer with 2 kills very quickly. Ice dives far into the jungle to make sure that happens, and then unfortunately gets rotated on, and you get to see the kill back for the solo laner. Still though, Trix going a little bit too far, and Rotwin getting credit for that one.
Yeah, I was about to say, how did Rotwin get a kill on Trixtank on the left side of the map? I panned over and I see that Streak Up was very far back. I mean, he was still dangerously low from his previous bout with Trixtank. And all of a sudden, Rotwin's found a kill up against the enemy's support, so Trixtank goes down. It's a 2-for-1 trade for the Styx Ferrymen across the board. But unfortunately for the Ferrymen, it's the Hex Mambo who are on top of the gold, at least at the moment. Only a couple hundred gold separating them, but the fact that it was Styx Ferrymen who got the first blood and Hex Mambo have closed that up with only a single kill means that the farm game of the Hex Mambo is in control.
Yeah, I'm looking at Trix's blink timer, matching that to Ice's blink timer, and something tells me he tried to blink under that tier 2 tower to kill Streak Up and then got abducted and just died. That would be my guess as to what occurred as we were seeing Ice just invade that speed buff on the opposite side. Just all-out aggression coming from the Sobek, and even with giving Rotwin that kill is still a level ahead in the support role, so not gonna be too upset about that one.
Oh, Ice feeling the pain of this Yu Huang damage. Rotwin will get thrown back by one person, thrown back by a second as Johnny, and Zeros will throw out the fire to get some more damage on this Kepri. I don't think Rotwin is making out of this. He's got his ultimate to bide a bit of time, and a final judgment clips through from Gunter. Johnny on the run, Trixtank out of position. The Dueling Dragons, not quite enough to take down Rotwin. A little bit more would have done so. Instead, it'll be Ice running down the Sobek to find a pick, and Johnny will now have to do his best to try and escape. Does have the dash to get away from Streak Up.
Yeah, that's the fastest god in the game, so he will be able to zoom on out of there. I really thought the Dueling Dragons was going to be able to confirm that kill on a Rotwin, but Yu Huang just does not bring that much DPS early, as we are seeing a brawl in this solo lane, but Lord of the... Never mind.
Nope.
No Lord of the Afterlife. Saving it for next game, I suppose. He goes down there. Azriel did not expect the shield to do that much damage, I assume, and was holding on to that ult to try and immune the stun, but goes back to base, and now Deathwalker 2-0 in that solo lane.
Maybe was thinking that the shield would come out after the final stun, so wanted to jump over the last hit. Instead, the last hit, or the shield comes before the last hit and ends up taking him down. Hex Mambo find a return fire once again, a 1-for-1 trade across the board. But again, it's the Hex Mambo who are still up in the gold. 1,500, in fact, that Hex Mambo have up in the lead right now over Styx Ferrymen. Despite the fact that Hex Mambo are down in the kill department, it's still their macro play throughout the jungle that's keeping them in.
Yeah, I'm looking at Zeros' levels, and he's always been pretty far ahead. You know, just one level at this point in the game isn't pretty far ahead. It's just enough to make sure you've got a lead here, but has been on top of his farm game, so I don't think Zeros has been rotating to too many fights, just been trying to farm up. Only 300 gold ahead, respectively. 2 guns are in this mid lane, but still, it's going to start to add up when you're getting hit by a Yu Huang who's got, you know, half an item more than you, or just finishing that Soul Reaver before you, things like that. The power spikes are going to be there, so expecting to see Gunter just sit back in lane and try to stack up that Warlocks. Not really wanting to miss out on any more farm. That's really where the damage disparity is going to be coming. We've seen Ice get very active on this Vamana early. Doesn't even have the itemization that I would say Vamana's like peak itemization, right? He only has the Golden Blade and a tier 2 possible Stone Cutting or Hasten, whichever one he wants to decide to go for. Once that comes online, he'll just get even faster in the Colossal Fury, and that's when he can run down just about anyone.
Do you see a scuffle over the mid camps? Looks like that got split between Hex Mambo and Styx Ferrymen. And speaking of leads, we did see Echrome with a very slight lead over Streak Up because Streak Up rotated over to that last team fight. They had 4 people battling in the mid lane. That did leave Echrome kind of all by himself over on this left side of the map. It seemed he was able to get a few of those neutral camps to himself. And speaking of some neutral camps, the Trebuchet in favor of Hex Mambo. That one will push down the mid wave. Not the most valuable lane to have a Trebuchet early on, but at least some free poke up against the mid tier 1 tower. Zeros will get to sit by it uncontested, and Azriel will be chased down by 2 of Hex Mambo. The tether is on top of those 2. Ultimate from Deathwalker will immune out 1. Azriel still holding on to his ultimate, but a good root from Rotwin will make sure to hold back the 2 so he doesn't have to use that ult.
Yeah, Azriel wanted to hold on to that Lord of the Afterlife because still has to go to lane and clear waves, has the teleport available, so as long as there was no immediate kill, I think he should be just fine to hold that one and try and fight for the blue buff after the fact. But unless Rotwin steals it away, and he will not, that won't even get an option. Deathwalker is okay to just trade some auto attacks here with the healing from Death's Toll and the Berserker Shield, just shredding as much as possible and not really caring about the damage from the opposition. Did have to use the beads though, that is something notable. You gotta watch out for that because Dazzling Offensive is down as well. Could open up some kill opportunity if Ice decides to put some pressure, but currently sitting around Gold Fury, so I don't imagine that'll happen anytime soon.
You know, I said that Trebuchet may not have been the most valuable in the mid lane, but the damage he was able to do that tier 1 tower because Zero stuck by it the entire way through the push almost takes out an entire tier 1 tower by itself. So maybe at least the most valuable that you can get out of it this early on with, you know, no fighting in other lanes to distract anybody there. Hex Mambo able to get some significant poke on one of the biggest bastions of safety that you could have in the early game, that mid tier 1 tower. So Gunter might not be nearly as safe under that tower should a fight really start to break out. For now, Hex Mambo will group up Pyromancer with 4 players nearby. Rotwin, the only one on Styx Ferrymen who's close. Azriel now closing the gap. And the Pyromancer has been leashed. Doesn't seem the Hex Mambo want to stick around for the fight.
Yeah, it seemed like Trix was trying to get the wraparound pluck onto Rotwin, but positioned himself so well that he sort of wasn't, he was never going to get plucked back into the opposition just against that wall there, the little pillar. And so he didn't get, you know, too far out of position on that Khepri, and the Pyromancer did not go down. So just a full reset in that regard. I was looking at the builds, and Johnny obviously has the Rage online. So now I'm thinking this Mercury wants to get extremely active, probably charge up some of these Sonic Booms and start flying. But Pyromancer still being looked at. This time Rotwin going to be a little late to the party and won't be able to find that vision for the squad. The gold lead is going to climb even more so, but, you know, Johnny's online at this point. It should be able to find some nice ganks in either of these lanes. I imagine, you know, duo lane would be the best option, but if you do look between that tier 1 and tier 2 tower, there is a ward there. So anytime, I'll hold that thought.
Azriel. So,
oh my gosh.
Never mind. That was just a crit that came through. I was like, okay, maybe, you know, like 2 or 3 more autos so this Mercury will be. Nope. Made you look into a crit auto, and that's going to be the end of that. A Sonic Boom onto Ice, throwing him against the wall. Colossal Fury comes out, and Colossal Fury will make sure to chase out the 3 members of Hex Mambo who are still sticking around. The blue buff, again, invaded, and successfully so. Deathwalker has this buff's number and has been able to get it every single time.
Yeah, this is a very active Mambo. This is not the style that we usually are seeing here for the Mambo. More like sitting by the wayside, trying to farm up as quickly as possible, maybe showing face at objectives, but they've been getting extremely active around these buffs. A great ult there from Johnny on to Ice. I figured could have resulted in a CC chain because there was no beads available, but Trix went for the tail whip instead of the pluck, and Ice was able to Colossal Fury through that. Not going to result in a kill, but the blue buff and the kill before the fact is going to be all you really need. So now the Hex Mambo are up a solid 3k gold. Have some vision around this gold for the Ferrymen, that is, but don't want to try and pull just yet. They don't really have the DPS to match that, and it looks like Ice is actually forced into some defense. So feeling the damage of Johnny and Deathwalker, putting a little bit of respect on them.
They're going to need to. Deathwalker's level 15 over Beazriel's level 11. Should be able to hopefully hit 12 here off of this minion wave, but it does not seem so. So a 3.5 plus. Oh, no, okay. Now hits that level 12. So it is a full 3-level lead that Deathwalker has over Azriel, which is funny because when we talked to him in the interview just before, he was talking about how Azriel usually is the one who has Deathwalker's number. But this time around, Deathwalker getting the better end of these trades, thanks to the help of Johnny being able to make some rotations over to help with that. Every single blue buff, pretty much past the initial spawn of blue, has gone the way of Deathwalker using that ultimate. Yet again, will not get the stun this time. Beazriel able to use that Lord of the Afterlife, but now slowed down under the tier 1 tower. Deathwalker will chop away at that one, and now Azriel has lost his safety. He's got some backup with Streak Up now showing up. Not going to find anything more than there. Gets the ult for the Chernobog, and then all of Hex Mambo disengage.
Yeah, I can't tell if that was just hyper-awareness by Johnny or not wanting to go for the gank, because the tower was 1 HP. Azriel didn't have ult or beads. I really thought a Sonic Boom there would have resulted in a kill. Once the tower goes down, immediately Streak Up flies in, make sure to shut that one down, and Ice was on the way. So I'm going to call it hyper-awareness by Johnny, just not to want to dive that tower or try to go for the kill after the fact. Would have gotten rotated on and would have been some trouble, so probably best to just call that one off, as Ice was considering blinking underneath that tower, but over here on left, Streak Up's in some trouble.
No, the double displacement from the Hex Mambo squad, and ult is going to get a res on the Streak Up. Shell and Aegis are used to keep this Chernobog alive as long as possible, and it will be just enough. Azriel able to teleport over to the tier 2 tower. Ice up in the Colossal Fury, chasing down 3, and there are 4 Styx Ferrymen chasing this one out. Echrome will not be able to outrun this. The double ultimates from these warriors are too much for the Hunter of Hex Mambo.
Yeah, the hastened was finished, so being able to just stick to Echrome. I thought maybe the cooldown for the dash was up, but the roll could not come sooner, and Echrome falls down. Streak Up, perfect relic placement, by the way, to make sure to survive that, holding onto the Aegis to the exact last second. I thought Rotwin's Scarab's Blessing was just going to result in another kill going the way of Streak Up, but held that Aegis to the perfect opportunity to, you know, immune out the snipes from Echrome, as well as just Trix's damage, and then was able to live there. Just a great answer back by the Ferrymen. They were down in gold and still are, but being able to save Streak Up there and find a return kill is certainly a great option. Deathwalker's level 17 though, that's not great.
Yeah, that's not a great look for Styx Ferrymen, as they have to deal with a level 17 Amma, and the only person who's close to that right now is Streak Up, who just lost both of his relics in that last little team fight there, so it's going to be about another 95 seconds or so until he is actually back and ready to fight once again. Tier 1 towers across the board, aside from the one in mid that's sitting on the tiniest of bricks remaining at the base of its tower to hold it up there. All it will take is one good hit from one of these carries to take that tower down. So not much of a safe place for the Styx Ferrymen to go should one of these objectives start up. Pyromancer is up in just a couple of seconds. The Gold Fury hasn't even been teased just yet, though.
Yeah, no one's even trying to give a pull to that. The Oracles have been consistently looked at, so just to keep some vision on it more often than not going the way of the Styx Ferrymen. But besides that, not too much presence shown around this side of the map. Besides that one purple buff invade that we just saw, there was a lot of aggression over there, and it looks like Johnny is showing some face over onto Streak Up, but Deathwalker made the rotation over as well.
It's a 3 versus 2 in the left side. Streak Up has been ignored by one. Johnny is going to bat away at Rotwin instead. Streak Up will dash to the mid tower, but he dashed right over to Deathwalker, who finds a stun on the Gunter, dashes in aggressively to Streak Up, needs a couple more autos, but Deathwalker can't find it. The Sonic Boom just off the mark, but Deathwalker under the tier 2 will find the final hit.
And it looks like Zeros is going to grab that tower as a little bit of a fight is ensuing here. Trix goes into the waters, and Rotwin needs the ult.
Rotwin, very low, used the ult on himself. The snipes onto Gunter, third one just off the mark because of the dash by Gunter to get himself back. Tier 1 tower goes down, And now some pressure on the tier 2 as the second Trebuchet has made its way down the mid lane. Trixtank and Zeros will be here to make sure that they can continue a couple of those pot shots up against it. But with Ice and Azrael standing by, don't imagine the Trebuchet will get too many more shots towards that tower. Meanwhile, the rest of Hex Mambo are working on the Gold Fury.
Yeah, it was just Deathwalker and Echrome. I mean, Johnny was pushing right lane, Trix and Zeros are pushing mid, and then Deathwalker and Echrome are saying, yeah, we'll take the free gold. Or maybe we'll even look at the tier 2 and left. We just have so much map control right now. This is the style that I was expecting from Hex Mambo when they first joined the SCC. They're finally hitting it to that point where they're just completely farming the map just better than anyone else right now. The Styx Ferrymen are even in kills, but not even close in gold. They're splitting the map up so well, even with the global presence on the side of the Styx Ferrymen with this Chernobog global ultimate. It's not enough to catch out anyone. Ice, though, will have a chase opportunity here on a Deathwalker. The slow does not hit, and that means the chase is already done. So just running around like chickens with their heads cut off at this point.
Yeah, Styx Ferrymen doing anything that they can to find some pick, some kind of fight that they can grab. They will be able to get the Oracle Harpies at least, but with the Gold Fury already down, it's just going to be keeping vision on that pit more often than not. Hex Mambo with a nearly 8,000 gold lead this stage of the game, one of the larger leads that we've seen in the early game from some of these EU teams. And I think you're right to highlight, I mean, this is a team with 4 former SPL players and an Echrome who's been around the SEC for such a long time. When you have names like Deathwalker, Johnny, Zeros, Trixtank, this gives you signs of life towards old Belt Slap, old Elysium, whenever you think back to some of the powerhouses of the EU SCC. So maybe a bit surprised it's the first time we're really seeing this dominant of a performance out of them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. They've been playing for the late game more often than not, but I think they finally realized, wait, we can just power farm the map. Azrael's been trying to make rotations around to help out the rest of the squad because I think the team really did need it, and because of that, Deathwalker's able to push down the tower and right, get a massive lead. Notably, Azrael has caught up a little bit, level 17 and 19. It has been trying to close that gap as much as possible, but still, so much farm going the way of this. Ama has hit level 20 at 20 minutes and 27 seconds, which is extreme farm. And Zeros and Johnny are not too far behind. I imagine Echrome pretty close to level 20 as well, so just extreme farm simulator on the side of Hex Mambo, and the gold lead certainly shows for it. The objective play has also been going in their favor, obviously. The Pyromancer to the Gold Fury to the Pyromancer once again. Going to be a little bit of time before that Oni Fury is going to spawn in, I imagine. Not going to be looking towards that Fire Giant. Even with a lead like this, it takes these teams a little bit of fighting, trying to bait out some abilities, things like that. Usually a pick or two before the Fire Giant even gets baited.
Well, we do see, at least in response to Ice, one form of anti-heal from Hex Mambo. That's just the Divine Rune from Zeros, though. Maybe a little surprised that we don't see something like the Toxic Blade or the Shadow Steel for some of these more crit-focused, or even a Curse Dog. The Curse Dog seems to be one of the easiest answers to that god, so at least as of now, unless Ice gets tagged by one too many abilities from Zeros in the midst of a fight, there's not really an answer to the amount of healing and shielding that Ice is going to receive. It's just going to have to come down to the raw damage output of Hex Mambo to go beyond the level of healing he'll have.
Yeah, in Ranked, there used to be this strat where whenever Mercury got picked, you would just go Outquang and go full lifesteal because there's no comfortable way to build lifesteal on Mercury. I mean, anti-heal, rather. It's just, nothing fits well into the kit. There's so many core items on this character that you can't really afford the Shadow Steel or the Toxic Blade. You could, it just hurts your DPS a little bit, and let's be honest, all these junglers want to just crit big number, haha. Like, that's what you're
Crit
going
for.
Yeah, exactly. Crit Mercury, go brr, that's what you're looking for. So I think with Sickening Strike and Divine Ruin, there's a decent answer. Ice probably is the only one who's going to be doing damage in these fights with some help from Gunter in the back. You know, I imagine that the Mambo are well aware that there's going to be a Vamana late game, so I would have expected a Toxic Blade from Deathwalker or an Ankh, but I figure, you know, they're this far ahead. The Vamana has been a little bit of an issue 3-1 right now, but focusing just, you know, we'll hit some Divine Ruin procs with that Sickening Strike, and that should be enough to blow up Ice. That's the idea anyways. We'll see if it plays off in practice.
Well, for now, about a minute until the Gold Fury is back up, a little less than a minute actually, and then the Pyromancer still has some time before it will rejoin the map. And Hex Mambo have slowed down their pacing. Some damage on the tier 2 tower and left. That's been dropped down to about a quarter HP thanks to the damage that Johnny has been able to output on this Mercury. But for the time being, Hex Mambo have essentially cut off their pacing entirely. They were going W key mode for the last couple of minutes, and now that's been slowed down to essentially nothing.
I'm convinced that Johnny will never have his Mercury passive stacked up. If you watch, this man is always jumping. At least now that we've put some attention to him, probably not going to be jumping anymore, but he's always jumping. When you're jumping, you can't stack up your movement passive, and you don't get the big auto attack
really
at the end of it.
unfortunate, isn't
I
it?
know, because I'm always jumping as Mercury. I don't blame him. I do it too, but
He's got such a good jump animation.
all of his jumps are good, yeah. Every single one. You know the one where he like shakes his hands up?
Jumps, waves his hands around. That's the best. That's one of the best ones.
Yeah, and then the other one he just like puts one hand up like the...
He does like the running man pose in the air.
Exactly.
It's so good. And speaking of so good, how about a fire giant for Hex Mambo started up? Azrael is nearby, knows this is happening. It's all going to be will he step towards the pit to try and steal it? The answer to that one is no. He's not even going to go near it. Instead, it'll be a Fury response for the 6 Ferrymen. Sonic Boom charged up by Johnny will be ignored. Trix Tank goes to the lurking in the waters. He's not going to care about what Azrael has. He'll get stunned out. Azrael surrounded by 5 and taken down under the tier 2 tower by Zeros. And the tier 2 tower taken by the rest of Hex Mambo.
Yeah, you gotta feel bad for Azrael there, but has the horrific and the teleport, so no beads available. The chain stuns will continue to reign true as Rotwin is trying to frontline right now, and will have to back up. That right Phoenix is toast, and Mambo's gonna back up. It looks like Shriek Up is pushing left, so that's why that defense was kind of scuffed anyways. Maybe a tier 2 tower opportunity here with the Oni minions coming in, and it looks like Echrome will have to back up and try and chase down the Shriek Up, who will just be backing up. Yeah, I was going to say maybe if you stay a little too long, you're going to get rotated on by Mercury. You have the ultimate to try and juke as much as possible, but you have to fly to one of these enemies, and given that, Shriek Up probably would be falling down and decided to back off. Right Phoenix is down, as I mentioned. Have some time to try and decide how they want to clear out these Oni minions and then push effectively. It looks like run it down left lane, maybe throw 1 or 2 in mid. There's still a few more tier 2 towers to go through and a lot of gold that Mambo can claim for themselves, but already a 10k gold lead.
10k at 25 minutes for Hex Mambo. Experience a little bit less meaningful now as most of the players on Ferrymen have been able to hit level 20 aside from the supports. A 2-level difference between those two at the very least. But Hex Mambo have grouped up at least 4 on this left side. It seems that Johnny will be the lone wolf of the Hex Mambo to deal with anything else. So he's going to solo a Pyromancer and very swiftly will solo that Pyromancer. Not a chance that that thing has a moment to fight. I don't even think it got to its actual like secondary attack where it drops the AoE. Johnny was able to burn it that quickly with the crit that he has built up. But still on this 4-1 split, Johnny will sit in the mid lane. He should be able to take down this tower just as quickly as he took out that Pyromancer, maybe even a little bit faster with Deathwalker walking over.
Yeah, forcing out 3 Spectrals on the side of the 6 Ferrymen are Johnny and Echrome. They just have so much damage, and trying to live through it is the option. It looks like the mid Phoenix and the left side Phoenix are trying to be sieged at the same time, but it looks like Shriek Up's going into the ultimate and probably just going to go back down because I don't think any more aggression will be coming the way of the 6 Ferrymen for a little bit, just stalling that ultimate out, and now the Hex Mambo can pick apart these Phoenixes one more time.
Be Deathwalker first one in towards the mid. Left Phoenix is very low from a previous battle. Johnny not going to focus on the Phoenix, and Deathwalker uses his ultimate. Final Judgment. Clip to the back line. Ice Ice up on the Colossal Fury. Trix Tank is low in this fight. Used the shell, but he is stuck on like glue with Ice Ice, who's just been batting away at his HP bar. Echrome throws some good shots out there, and we'll put Rotwin and Ice Ice fairly low, especially Rotwin. And the mid Phoenix does go down. Johnny and Deathwalker are able to 2v1 on that mid lane against Azrael.
That was nice. You said batting away.
True.
And it's low mana, and he's got the bat.
That's why I said it.
I know. I just got to give you some credit in case no one else saw that one. I knew there wasn't going to be any more fighting. The Phoenixes are down, so I got to give you credit. The wordplay on point. It looks like the Hex Mambo will be retreating now. No more bats coming the way of Ice Ice. So I think the game plan was correct, as a few members of Mambo got low there. You know, forced into the ultimates, forced into just running away from Ice Ice's ult, but after the fact, after his ult's down, there's no more fight potential. So, you know, it's one option to just force anti-heal and kill Ice Ice in that ultimate. It's another to say, we're just going to run away and now you're useless. You're just a mana with no ult. We don't care about you anymore. We're just going to run away. So Trix got low, though, I will say. Very, very close to dying was the Sobek. Had the shell pop still. Pluck was back up. Ice Ice would love to just chase down the opposition, but can't stay in that Colossal Fury forever.
No, he cannot. As players start going back to base and start finishing up some of their power spikes. Then Envenom Deathbringer, a full purchase of an Envenom Deathbringer by Johnny, was sitting on that much gold in pocket. Ethereal Staff picked up by Zeros. And it was a Charon's coin earlier on. You know, we kind of grazed over it. this kind of the state of how Zeros has been in this game and kind of just the state of the game in general is that was like first item Charon's coin. He has 1 stack on it at this point, so not getting the most value out of the passive from that one, but still getting the value of at least the base stats from the item.
Yeah, and that's why I like Obsidian Chart a lot when these games are going to be going slower. Even if you buy it first item, you got 1 kill, you got 1 assist. That's really the only stacks we're seeing for Zeros' Charon's coin, as Azriel is taking 67, 86, 54. Not a lot of damage to Azriel, and it looks like Styx Ferrymen are trying to fight this.
Azriel waiting for Echrome on the ground. Echrome chunked away by the damage of Gunter. Sonic Boom will proc the revive onto Streak Up. Streak Up trying to run, but Zeros will clip away Ice Baby on this right-hand side. Azriel fighting against Zeros and not really winning that trade, and now with 4 people here, Azriel has nowhere left to go. It's a double kill for Zeros on the Hex Mambo.
That was still a great pick there for the Ferrymen. They killed 2, or they lost, let me rephrase that. They lost 2 to kill 1, trying to stall out the fact that all of their birds are down for as long as possible. But the Enhanced Fire Giant does go down. Unfortunate for Echrome, not going to get to wear that one around his belt. He's going to have to sit in the grayscale for about 20 seconds. As Mambo's just pushing up here, it's a 3v4 for quite some time. They want to try and get this Phoenix down, and with no backdoor protections. Actually, never mind. It's not Enhanced Fire Giant, only 29:30. I expect it to be much later in this game. That's only a regular Fire Giant, so maybe the end call, not the best option anymore.
Now it is 3 left to defend. Gunter has his ultimate back up, and he is doing a lot of damage to Johnny. Final Judgment charge, but not fired. With the Titan sitting at half HP. Deathwalker and Tricksanger doing enough damage. Styx Ferrymen have got to get in there to stop this soon, but they will not do so. Hex Mambo just walk in a 4v3, and they win that one out. Game number 1 will go to the undefeated #1 seed.
I mean, that was just Deathwalker and Trix, maybe a few rotations of abilities, but besides that, Johnny was over here dealing with Gunter, like not even close to I mean, that was just some Amaterasu damage and some Sobek abilities. That was a burn through Titan. Obviously, all the objectives were down. There was no Phoenixes up, there was no towers, so relatively weak in that regard. But that was a 3v4. I really thought that would have been a bad end call, but the Hex Mambo, they knew their damage and they were very confident.
Hex Mambo able to find a successful game number 1 to get their set started up against the Styx Ferrymen and trying to remain this #1 seed in EU, trying to hold on to that undefeated point. Hex Mambo with a good showing in game number 1, able to keep themselves in. We'll see if they can repeat that in game number 2. That's coming up right after this break.
some pieces of the paper. Don't run up in the morning, let it taper. Inhale and let it out like reservations. Exhale and breathe, I'm praying for some patience. Proceed, I think I might as a kite. Don't call me for the
Back to the EU SCC, Hex Mambo find themselves a Game 1 victory over the Styx Ferrymen and put themselves that much closer to holding on to their undefeated scenario in the EU SCC as they are 2-0 coming into this set and working towards 3. And with a Game 1 performance like that, Trelly, maybe no surprise that this is the #1 seed. While it was a very close battle, at least to start things out, Hex Mambo were able to find some very superior farm throughout the game. Even whenever the kills were still going in favor of Styx Ferrymen, Hex Mambo were holding on to a 1 to 2,000 gold lead, and then every objective and team fight from there, Hex Mambo continued to climb that one up.
Yeah, I can't even remember when it was a 1 to 2K gold lead because it just seemed like Mambo had so much presence that whole time. I mean, just looking at a 2v3 at this point, there's a 3,000 gold lead in favor of Mambo, and that's just at 12 minutes into the game. It just seemed like from that point, they were able to dominate the objectives, with Ice finding a pick here and there on the Svamana, of course, but besides that, just so much presence from Deathwalker, able to hit level 20 at 20 minutes, farming so well, and the rest of the carries from Mambo were not that far behind.
Yeah, Ecrom and Zeros able to find some good damage. Zeros on this Yu Huang, which we've been seeing a lot of pick ban priority in the SPL and have been seeing that trickle down into the SCC as well. And no surprise, the level of damage that this god is able to output. You can see even up against Ice, who is technically still healing through a lot of this. Ice can't heal through the damage that Zeros is able to output, and gets him with the Goomba stop right after at the tail end of that one. Zeros still, by the way, fighting against another person during all of this, able to find a double kill in this fight and set the pace for Hex Mambo to find themselves a win in game #1. 3-0 for the Yu Huang, 3-0 for Deathwalker as well.
Yeah, you know, you don't get to see some of those crisp mechanics from the top end there, but Zeros hitting that route, forcing Ice into the Colossal Fury, and then killing him with the Celestial Flight after the fact. It doesn't do much damage, but it does proc abilities, and that was enough to make sure to put that Vamana in the dirt. So, great play there by Zeros as well. Just got to highlight some of the mid lane mechanics on this Yu Huang. Just a very interesting treat to watch.
And Hex Mambo with their 1-game lead are now 1 game away from closing out this best of 3. And if they can keep up the pace they had in game #1, game 2 could be another breeze for the team. But when it comes to the Styx Ferrymen, some adaptations must be made from them in order to try and slow it down. We'll see what they change up picks and bans for game #2. Now ready to go between the Styx Ferrymen and Hex Mambo. This time the Ferrymen will elect to take that first pick spot for themselves. So maybe trying to get some of those priority picks. They already were able to grab a Chernobog last time around. That was a great option. Maybe don't let Mercury over to Hex Mambo. Might be at least a good start for her Styx Ferrymen.
Yeah, I want to see Hex Mambo let the tier through. Let me see what Azrael's all about here.
Let him see it flex again.
Yeah, Azrael didn't have the best solo lane experience there. Maybe getting on one of his signature picks should shed some light on how tier is supposed to be played in a meta like this. But given the fact that, you know, Deathwalker already highlighted it before the game even started and they banned it away first game, and they won first game, probably tells me they don't want to, you know, play with that fire. The Ferrymen will ban away the Sobek, though, so a different look for the support of the Hex Mambo. Trix is going to have to be extremely annoying and disruptive on something else, as the Nemesis is going to be banned away by Mambo. Usually when you see a team take game 1 like this, it's more the meta-style bans they're taking away. I don't imagine anything will be taken away from last game, except maybe the Vamana. Ice had a bit of success on that.
Okay. I don't know if you were seeing Charlie. I had to double check it and make sure I was actually reading this correctly, because we see Sobek pretty much only exclusively banned away from Trixtank. And I wonder, man, how good is Trixtank's Sobek? Is it really that good? I looked this up and I had to double check. I was about to take my glasses off, make sure I had them clean properly. 66 games on Sobek. You want to take a guess at what his win rate is?
I mean, if it's anything under like 80%, I don't think you'd even bring it up.
83% win rate. In 66 games, he has an 83% win rate on this god at competitive level.
Yeah.
That is absurd.
That is absurd. I was going to say, if it's anything under 80, you wouldn't even bring it up, so it's got to be higher than that.
I think anything over 60 is worth bringing up when you have that many games on there, but having an 83% win rate
you wouldn't be cleaning your glasses.
I wouldn't be. I was sitting there like, man, I know it's kind of early. Not really. It's almost noon at this point, but yeah, kind of early. I just had to double check and make sure that was a thing. That blows my mind, the fact that he has that successful of a god pick out there. I wouldn't be surprised that gets banned away from him.
Wait, hold on.
For the rest
I got
of the time.
one.
Okay, what do you got?
When Trix is on the croc, you're looking for the clock because
Bifrost!
you want to get out of there. There you go.
No,
You guys
if,
can use
if
that.
Trix is on the clock, I'm buying stock.
Okay, but I thought it was if he's on the croc, if he's on Sobek.
Yeah, if he's on the croc, I'm buying stock.
Oh, that's even better. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm buying stock and making it.
That's a high five from downtown.
There we go. That's our goal. Let's go back with the picks that have run through so far. Tier's not going to get let through.
No.
Hex Mambo did not want Azrael to have one of his signature picks. That'll be Uller, Jormungandr, and Fafnir picked up by the Styx Ferrymen. Hex Mambo will be able to grab Baba Yaga and Heimdall. Gods that were both banned away from them last time around.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the Mambo should be happy with this, right? But it will be Trix on the Ganesh, something that was also banned away from him last time. He picked Sobek so late in the draft, so, you know, pretty happy about that one. Holding Deathwalker's pick for later on, definitely going to be smart as well. And I'm excited to see how the Yorm, I'm assuming in solo, is going to be able to perform here because it was something very highly looked after in the EU SEC for a bit, and then, you know, the build path sort of changed a little bit, and the Yorm's fallen by the wayside, so we'll have to see how that's able to go. But it looks like second wave of bans here will be taking away Yu Huang because the Baba Yaga got locked in. Zeros can't play that one again. Might as well take it away. Brings too much damage, too much safety in that mid lane. You don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, for sure. And then as the bans continue to roll through, along with the Yuwang, Daji, Freya, and Awilish all banned away. So Six Ferrymen focusing more so on the jungle to try and take some picks away from Johnny, and then Hex Mambo focusing on some of that mid and that hunter role over there because with the Uller locked in, some flexibility with the Uller, whether that go into the mid or the duo lane more than anything, so making sure that they can at least couple a couple of those ones out. Ratatosker going to be the pickup for Hex Mambo. We've been seeing the rise of Ratatosker over in the SPL, where that goes into the solo lane, going for kind of this mitigation style of build, getting a low nose mask in there, and we've also been seeing the crit Ratatosker pop up in the jungle too.
Yeah, and just the stun rat. There's so many different rat builds, and it's odd because there was for so long rat wasn't even in the meta. And now it's like you can build rat 3 different ways.
You can build whatever you like.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see if that is going to be a rat in the jungle or solo. I figure we'll figure out in about 15 seconds or so. But Bakasura and Jingwei answer back on the opposite side. Jingwei's going to bring a ton of safety in that lane and just stalling out. And with the Hoonbats, I would say, actually that doesn't quite answer for me because I've seen a bit of Hoonbat solo as well. Could be either way. More often than not, the rat's going to be in the solo lane, so I'm gonna hold that true because, Johnny's got a sick Hoonbats. He's played it a few times in the SEC. I'm gonna put a stamp on it. Deathwalker's on the rat solo, and I think the Baka is actually a good matchup into the Hoonbats if you can use that ult to immune that CC immunity and the Fear No Evil. You can usually shred through his HP before you get stunned again and try and jump out, things like that. It's gonna be an interesting counter matchup, but not completely counter. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, Hex Mambo with that Hoonbats over for Johnny, something that at the very tail end of his SPL career was able to find a pentakill on, so definitely no stranger of a pick for Johnny to go on to this one. Game number 2, though, between Six Ferrymen and Hex Mambo. We're ready to go. We'll jump ourselves right on in, and we'll see if Hex Mambo can keep up that momentum from game 1, or the Six Ferrymen can be able to put a stop to that one and try and find themselves a win in game number 2. Azrael on the Jormungandr. And this is always the fun part about the Jormungandr, is figuring out what is Jormungandr going to build. Do they go for the Warrior's Axe? Do they go for something like a Vamp Shroud? What is it going to be? It's going to be a Tainted Steel into what I imagine will be a Chronos Pendant Rush.
I'm just, I did highlight the Baka v Hoonbats matchup, but it's actually Johnny on the Loki, so that's going to be a different style, and I think we'll be able to avoid the Bakasura a little bit easier. And obviously Johnny no stranger to that pick as well, so should be looking to stay a little bit back in the lane until about level 5. Once that ultimate comes online, the gank potential just opens up so much easier. So I expect to see trying to match the speed of the clear, because Ice is going to dominate the jungle, right? That's the reason that Baka has been coming back so hard, is the Golden Blade and just running to camps as quickly as possible. Loki can't quite match that presence, but should be just fine.
We'll see some of that aggression in the duo lane kind of even out. Deathwalker not going to have the best time against a Jormungandr in lane, at least for the early stages. Jormungandr's clear just nice enough to make sure he doesn't have to really deal with much of what a Ratatosker has going for him. But Johnny, no stranger to the Loki. It was a signature pick of him over whenever he made it to the SPL. There was a very, very brief window when Loki got meta, and Johnny showed the world what this guy was capable of. And then he never got to see that god again. It was the most banned god against the Valhalla Valkyries in the SPL, and we get to maybe get a reprise of this to see why. Trixank does go aggressive up against Streak Up. Ikram finds some good damage. That first ability up against him, Streak Up, being pushed back by the Hex Mambo duo lane.
Yeah, it's surprising seeing a Ganesha get so aggressive, but that's just the way Trix likes to play, and up against a Jingwei. not too much DPS you have to worry about, even with a Fafnir stun into a knockup. You should be just fine as long as you're holding onto your CC. I just realized we've got one of the biggest gods in the game and one of the smallest gods in the game in this lane. Just Rat v Yorm. It's going to be so interesting watching Deathwalker try and just bring death to this Yorm and Gunter. Ice makes the rotation over for the blue buff and gets eaten for free unless... Nope. I was going to say maybe a steal opportunity there.
Deathwalker, though, jumped on by Ice. Not enough damage from the Bakasura to take down Deathwalker there. Former teammates, going back into history's time, at least, between Deathwalker and Ice used to be part of that rival squad together, now separated against each other in the EU SCC. We do see that Trixtank still able to hold up some pressure in that dual lane alongside with Ekron, Rotwin, and Streaka. Has been picking up the scraps of what's been left over in their lane, what's been left over inside of their jungle. And as we take a look at the goal, I mean, just with no kills going through, a very early lead by Styx Ferrymen. Not very significant, about 200 or so gold, but most of that just coming from this solo lane pressure. Azrael has kept Deathwalker under this tier 1 tower.
Yeah, Rat can't clear the wave just yet. Johnny did steal away the speed buff from Ice because of how much presence was put over the blue, and also stole away the blue buff. Unfortunately, Deathwalker was not able to pick it up because it's just so far away, and Rat is not that safe without the ultimate. So Johnny is just dominating the jungle, but also not trying to get aggressive at all, right? He's just like, I'm going to sneak away the camps, you know, I'm going to get more farm than you, but I'm also not going to show my face. I'm Loki. I want to be invisible, and I don't want anyone to see me until I'm able to one-shot. I think that plan will continue, but I also expect to see Ice at this blue buff on cooldown. Deathwalker is probably not going to have a fun time in this lane. You're just not able to fight for your blue buff up against a Baka, and Yorm's got some decent clear, and it looks like we'll be going for that Chronos pendant as you mentioned, so even harder to deal with once the cooldowns come through. Azrael
does have that teleport, doesn't use it to get back to lane this time around, might just be saving it for when he does have the gold to upgrade that first item to its max. Luckily for Deathwalker, he doesn't have to wait and go back to base on that Rat. He can get his Acorn at any point that he wants to, at any place on the map. Has that tier 2 available to him. You can see a little bit of the reflection, at least in the net worth. The Hunters, the biggest separation between them. Or I should say, at least for Gunter and Streakup, you can see the difference in farm that Gunter's able to get compared to Streakup on his own team. As Gunter sits at the top of the net worth chart, Streakup sitting even below everybody else on the map at the bottom.
Yeah, mid lane just gets so much free farm, man. They're always complaining, and they always just get all the farm.
Aren't you a mid laner?
Yeah, I was just, you know.
So do you complain you get too much farm?
No, I don't complain. I'm
Everybody else complains about you getting too much farm.
I'm delightful, but mid laners do complain, and they get all the free farm. We're seeing level 6 from Zeros and Gunter in that mid lane, and it looks like Johnny is going to be sitting around Zeros' hip, just waiting to see if they can force out any beads. A decent kill opportunity if this Uller ever does decide to beads, but if it's never forced out, not too much burst damage from the Baba Yaga and the Loki early on, especially if a Transcendence and a Charon's Coin are your plan. It's going to be a while before you're really able to start forcing relics and things like that. And we are seeing a little bit of action in the solo lane as well. So Deathwalker, despite being very small and Azrael being very big, still able to do a decent bit of damage to the World Ender.
World Serpent having a little bit of difficulty staying even with Deathwalker's at least control now that that Acorn has been upgraded by Deathwalker. He's able to get some pretty easy wave clears. Azrael sitting back towards his tier 1 tower now. Deathwalker does just tick over to level 7 above. I mean, when a rat can, I guess technically a squirrel, when a squirrel can do that much damage, I'd be terrified too.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to hide underneath. He's so scary.
You ever tried fighting a squirrel?
No, I never will.
I haven't either. If a squirrel's got hands like that, I'm never fighting a squirrel, bro.
I can assure you, if a squirrel ever jumped at me or, like leaped from a tree on top of me, he wins. I would forfeit.
It's one of those questions like, what animal do you take in a fight? If a squirrel's got hands like that, I'm not even going to be able to take a squirrel on, dude. We're people over here like, yeah, I think I can deal with like a dog or something like that. Or people say, I'm seeing a squirrel. Done over here.
No.
Silliness aside, though, a brief pause in the action as this early game has been a bit of a slow one. Deathwalker able to at least get himself back in at least similar pace in that solo lane, 6 minutes in. And the gold pretty much sitting at a dead even pace. Even with the XP, the only real difference is over in that mid lane. Those Zeros did just tick over to level 8, so Gunter only with a very slight lead over Zeros.
Oh, I'm seeing a massive lead now in the duo lane. E-Chrome and Trix tick over to level 7 before Screegup's able to. Ooh, juked out the ultimate there, so E-Chrome's going to lose that one, but some clutch autos are actually going to teleport him out because he realized, hey, Route 1 is probably behind me, and I just ulted in. So I'm going to get out as quickly as possible. Jokes aside, it was just because the wave was clear a little bit faster. Not a massive lead in that duo lane, as we are seeing more presence put on to these mid camps. So it looks like we might see hi-rez's first ult of the game, but hasn't decided to use it. Actually going into the house is Zeros.
Home sweet home used. A couple of shots thrown towards Gunter, who cannot jump over the wall because of the silence from Trix Tank, but no further aggression from Hex Mambo. John will just throw out one of his decoys to help clear out the wave for Zeros to try and get some of that mid XP to himself. Trix Tank still standing up fairly far, but Gunter ticking over to level 9, Rotwin standing by. Styx Ferrymen could play aggressive around this mid camp, but it's Trix Tank who's the one stepping up.
So remember last game when Trix went, or Zeros rather, went first item Charon's coin and only got a single stack on it the whole game?
Yeah.
This time he's already got 3. This is the benefit of picking that Baba Yaga. You get those free stacks, even 0 kills, you're still able to get the Charon's coin stacks, but Streak Up is going to steal away the purple buff by themselves, and it looks like as long as Ice Ice is here, the other purple buff will be going their way as well. So unfortunate for Echrome, going to be losing out on a little bit of attack speed and a little bit of penetration as well. Not going to have the XP from the buff, and that's the one that really hurts now. Probably just going to be going for the farm as quickly as possible and getting the vision down next time. You don't want to let, it's one thing to lose your buff once, but once that timer gets in your head, you know that the jungler can always come back and invade it again, so you got to make sure you're watching out for that.
Well, Echrome will try and steal away the Serpent Camp, will not do so. Echrome gets credit towards that one, actually. Streak Up was not able to stop that one from being taken away. So this Heimdall, something that we see almost exclusively in the USCC. It's not something that we get to talk about often in the SPL. It's not something that we get to see very much in the North American circuit either. It's just something that these players in particular, these hunters, for some reason, EU just really loves what this god brings. Maybe it's the safety, maybe it's the damage output that he's able to do. I haven't quite figured it out myself, Charlie, but if these guys are going to keep playing it, we're just going to have to keep watching it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's got to just be the safety of the pick. As long as you have your Bifrost down, you shouldn't be dying. And I don't think Echrome, look at that. Anytime he's in any bit of danger, that was just some auto attacks he was worried about and just dashed away. Streak Up was trying to stop the back there because Ice Ice was sort of lurking, but not able to tank that full wave up and didn't really want to take the trade after dashing in. Using Airstrike offensively, you better be getting the kill because that's your best get out of jail free card. You know, Echrome could just use the Bifrost, but Streak Up definitely has to use that ultimate to try and disengage there. Strix actually goes in aggressive, and I get the ult out of Ice Ice.
Ice Ice also takes 2 hits from the shot out of Zeros. Dark Pillars drops down. That'll slow Ice Ice down. Ultimate from Zeros and from Johnny. Ice Ice should not make it out of this fight. It's Johnny who comes up for first blood for the Hex Mambo. And Rodwin with the transformation. Not going to find either of his stuns.
What?
Misses both of them, even at point blank range. So a little bit of a misplay or a misfire there out of Rodwin. That'll cause a now disengage for Styx Ferrymen.
I gotta be honest, my what was not because Rotwin missed. It was more so because the Mambo were running. They were 4v3. The Dragon transformation was going down. It seemed like they had all the cards in their hands, but they also didn't have any ultimates, and they didn't want to commit too hard. I mean, they had Echrome's ult, but lots of beats are up. So I understand just wanted to back off here. With the Trebuchet, I figured maybe they could try and pressure that tower, but not wanting to get a little over-aggressive. They got the small win there in the first blood, and they want to continue that trend because Deathwalker is just, it's just comical how big Yorm is and how small Deathwalker is. Probably will have to use the ult here.
We need to see a Ratatosker versus a channeled Ultimate Cthulhu just to really see the size difference between those two gods.
Yeah, and especially in solo lane, just watch them look up at each other, or one of them will be looking down on the other, but still. And then I want to see the Rat win the fight because he probably could.
That'd be really funny.
Yeah, he brings a lot of damage. He's got Genji's guard, he's got the thick bark acorn, so 2 charges of flurry, which is just a great ability in general, just for shredding protections and things like that, doing good damage. I think he can do it. I'd vote for the rat, or the squirrel, but the rat.
Vote for the Ratatosker that is a squirrel, yeah. That's always the one thing that sometimes confuses people. You say, oh yeah, look at rat, and there's like, that's a squirrel. Well, yeah, but his name is Ratatosker, so you shortened it to rat, and they're like, yeah, but he's a squirrel, so. We do see Azrael hitting the level 12. And we kind of briefly mentioned that Tainted Steel earlier on, or at least I brought it up kind of at the beginning of the game. Do you think this Tainted Steel is a response to any kind of healing that's going to be coming from Hex Mambo, or is this just kind of the item to go to because there's not much else for Jormungandr to grab?
I think it's because of the fact that we've seen it even on Yorm when there's no healing. It does get good value up against the Ratatosker if he wants to go for the healing acorn, or just any acorn really does get a little bit of healing, but the healing one especially is going to get you any more. It sort of dissuades you from building that as Johnny. Oh, man, is taking a ton of damage. We'll have to back off. I think it's just a good option in solo as well, is what I was trying to say.
I'm just wondering why Johnny was eating so much free damage from this mid lane. I mean, Gunter's just firing ability after ability at this Loki, and Johnny's forced to go back to base because of it. Azriel's rotation is going to put a bit of a hurt on Zeros, sitting half HP on the Baba Yaga. Zeros does have the home sweet home if he needs it. Instead, will just use his blast off to get himself away, and the home sweet home now to turn back and at least clear out this wave, not allow Gunter to push up any further under that tier 1.
Yeah, and it looks like red buff could be the prize that the Styx Ferrymen are after. Not the kill onto Zeros, because forcing into that ult is a good enough prize alone. And also got the ult out of Johnny as he tried to ult away. But the red buff will be trying to be taken away by the Ice, and it will be taken away by the Ice. And it looks like Echrome was trying to rotate over. Actually sent someone an Niflheim and is trying to teleport away.
Echrome does get the Bifrost off. Trixtank will play as his bodyguard to make sure that no further aggression happens in duo at least. Meanwhile, in mid, Azrael has not left this lane and even forced Deathwalker to make a rotation over just to deal with this Jormungandr and have some other presence known on that mid lane. At least for now, Johnny Deathwalker will go back. They'll clear up their blue buff. And if we take a look at the, even just at the gold, I mean, 13 minutes in, a first blood over to Hex Mambo, we're sitting dead even. 9 gold and 600 give or take experience between the teams.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it just a little bit longer and see where it would go, but unfortunately it's only going up because we got the 9. What was the one you were still looking for? 2? Or you saw 2?
No, I've seen 2. I was looking for a 4, I believe, was the other one that I was needing.
All right, well, we'll have to keep our eyes out. Don't think there's many ways you can get 5 gold in the game, but eventually, I'm running the numbers. It could add up. We'll keep our eyes peeled for it as no objectives are being looked at here. Surprise, not even a bait at the Pyromancer. I think it's more so given the strength of these junglers. Of course, Ice has some decent shred, but Johnny is more looking for ability damage with the hi-rez procs. Could certainly just burn through a Pyromancer, but you're going to lose a lot of HP in the process, and pulling that could be in some trouble. Ice is coming up here, trying to find any sort of opportunities. Robin takes a lot of damage as well. This could be a fight opportunity.
No, stun onto Echrome will stop that engage onto Rotwin at least, but now onto Ice. Johnny does have ultimate. Doesn't elect to use it. Instead, he'll get stunned. Use the ult onto Ice, gets the stun. Dharmic Pillars as a response. And Ice is low. Trixtank holding him in place for Johnny to come back in with the help of Zeros and get the first kill of the fight. The home sweet home comes out from Zeros to deal some damage back over towards Gunter with Azrael here. Trixtank doesn't have very many places to go, and Gunter finds the stun, finds the hail of arrows after to make it a 1-for-1.
This is exactly what happened last game. Azrael makes the rotation over early, and look what Deathwalker's doing. Invading the back camps, pushing waves under tower, just getting a lead. Now ticks over to level 15. It was a little bit different because Ama clears faster, but Rat can get here as quickly as possible with that global ultimate if need be. Decided that there's no threat of the Gold Fury, so not going to make that rotation over as Azrael gets the assist, so not going to be rotating over for absolutely nothing, getting a little bit of gold, just losing a fair bit of farm in that lane, and I think that's why we are seeing, oh, hold that thought, the presence at the Gold Fury is being looked at, and I bet Deathwalker wishes he came over now.
Echrome can come over here and at least annoy this team about it. Gold Fury going down, it's going to come to a coin toss, but that one is weighted in favor of the Styx Ferrymen with that Uller. Echrome might lose his life trying to stick around too long. The knockup from the persistent gust makes sure that Echrome can't go through the Bifrost, and Gunter is the one to put him down.
Yeah, unfortunate. Just went for the AoE auto attack, trying to steal that one away. I don't even think he had the tick right, so it was just a regular auto attack. Could have been body block. Either way, not going to be able to steal that one away, and got knocked up. So just didn't get to teleport out either. Unfortunate for Echrome. If he had the Aegis, probably could have stalled that one out, but wasn't available and didn't get to teleport away. And now a little bit of extra farm going the way of Shriek Up. So now Shriek Up can just steal away some green buffs at the moment. I was going to say maybe push that wave button, but Trix is sort of standing there watching the wave just in case it does push in, and he'll hold it for his laner, as a good support will do. And we're seeing just a little bit of a stall. The Gold Fairy going down is a massive break, I would say. Usually you would keep the aggression up in a game like this, but Pyromancer hasn't been looked at for quite some time. We haven't seen too much presence on the right side of the map, so I think it'll be a little bit before we see that pull onto the Pyromancer.
We do see a bit of a level gap between the jungles and the mids. Johnny had about a level and a half up over Ice. Gunter sitting about 1.5 up over Zeros in the mid, so a little bit of a back and forth there, though notably Shriek Up also has about a 2-level lead over Echrome in this duo lane, and that's without really rotating to many of these fights, and Echrome's going to need quite a bit to get out of here. Has to use the beads with the Bifrost to have a path on out, but now Rotwin rotating around the top side of the fight could cut this one off, but Rotwin doesn't have any backup. Echrome should be fine.
Yeah, Gunter is going to find a massive axe onto Zeros, but also going to be in some trouble here as Johnny has the ult, and that should be a free as kill as they come.
Axe toss is good, but Zeros' wildfire magic is a little bit better. Will find another kill for himself. 3 now for Hex Mambo, and invade at the red buff. Goes successful for Styx Ferrymen, able to steal that one away from Zeros and Trix Tank. Dharmic Pillar drop to slow down Ice and cut off the path for Rotwin, but Hex Mambo don't really have the chase to keep this going.
Yeah, that was just Trix ulting out of just anger. Like, oh man, he got red buff. I'm just going to ult him because there's no way anyone was going to chase that one down. Ice too fast. And yeah, didn't have any beads, or didn't have the blink rather. Has the beads, didn't have the blink to get out after the fact. So if there was a chase opportunity, it would be nice. But Johnny did use the ultimate to make sure that Gunter goes down. Got the Aegis and the beads and shut down the 2-0 Uller. So definitely a strong kill in the mid for Mambo. Again, I'm surprised. They don't really have too much presence in the mid lane right now, the Ferryman that is. So a possible Pyromancer pull could have been the option there, but just wanting to play passively. Probably play through the solo lane again. Deathwalker hasn't made those rotations, and he's just been getting ahead in farm. Got that tower in right lane as well. Probably that, I imagine that's the wait con, right? Just saying, hey, once this Ratatosker is able to rotate in, get to the back line, jump on these carries, that sort of thing, our fight gets so much better. So no reason to go for these early objective pulls, these Pyromancers, things like that.
Gunter level 17 on the Uller, so still holding a tad bit of a lead. Might be losing that one as a full commit by Hex Mambo under the mid lane. Tier 1 tower will take out the mid laner yet again of the Styx Ferrymen. Hex Mambo are sick of this Uller. They are sick of what Gunter has been able to do so freely for the first 15 minutes of this game, and the last couple has been dedicated to Hex Mambo to trying to shut him down. Ecrom is the one who needs a little bit of help though in this lane, as he has not been given much room to breathe. So for now, Hex Mambo will set their sights over to the Pyromancer. Rotwin and Azrael are here. Azrael has an opportunity to steal this one away, but needs one really good time spit. Will not find it there. And Hex Mambo grabbed the Pyromancer. A good stun on the Azrael will get the World Serpent out. Styx Ferrymen should be out of this fight.
Yeah, but Ice is in left at the moment, invading that purple buff and trying to kill Ecrom. Deathwalker's going to chase this one down and will have the damage to finish this unless Rotwin gets here in time, and he might.
Good body blocks and a good shell will give Azrael just enough HP to get away from Deathwalker. Even this Ratatosker, not quite enough damage to kill the Jormungandr as of yet, but a very close, a very valiant attempt. Meanwhile, Zeros will push up the tier 1 tower, and that takes away 2 of those 3 tier 1s that the Styx Ferrymen had.
Yeah, that was definitely a clutch rotation and shell in by Rotwin. I think Azrael probably dies there with the slow and the shred from the Rat. Johnny takes an axe to the face. Not followed up by the rest of the Uller combo. Did just use the beads and will be able to avoid that. I think you're right. Before that Pyromancer got pulled, you highlight the fact that Ecrom might need some help over here in this lane, 2 levels down, and Ice still has been showing a fair bit of presence in the duo lane, invading that purple buff whenever possible, and trying to make sure that Ecrom never has that Bifrost available to just teleport out freely. Both relics are up. It's just build-wise. I'm definitely giving the credit over to the Ferrymen here. Streak Up already has the Wind Demon, the Atalanta's Bow. Doesn't quite have the penetration shred, but trading auto for auto, Streak Up's hitting harder.
Yeah, Streak Up will just hit a little bit more. Also has some increased crit chance whenever popping those explosive bolts, and we'll start to utilize those around the Oni Fury. Frenzy has been popped right away. Trixtank is watching this objective just absolutely melt. Drops the Dharmic Pillars, but the Styx Ferrymen still get the Oni Fury. Ice very low, as he was the one taking that up. Styx Ferrymen with that Fury able to drop the gold to only about 1,500, 2,700 as far as XP is concerned. So for 20 minutes in, this is a drastically different game than what we saw in Game 1, Charlie.
Yeah, it is a little bit different. Johnny is, well, you know, it looked like Deathwalker was going to make that rotation over, and Johnny took the role of solo laner for a bit, trying to get that Bumba's Hammer online. I think that's going to be a massive power spike for Mambo if you can get Bumba's Hammer on Johnny, and he does take over to level 20, and he has 2,400 gold in hand, so he should be able to buy that Bumba's Hammer, and he will. And I think that's going to change how these fights work drastically. If you're able to get like consistent Bumba's Hammers procs, and 2 Assassinates in a fight specifically are going to be disastrous for the side of the Ferrymen, as Ice is 3 levels behind. So there is a bit of a gold disparity throughout. As you see, Streak Up's a little bit ahead of Ecrom, but also Trix is ahead of Rotwin, and Gunter's ahead of Zeros, you know, throughout. But level 20 Loki is a level 20 Loki, and I think that's the biggest disparity right now, is that Ice can't match that DPS.
Johnny working towards what I imagine will be a Blood Forge as well, so going to be able to get a little bit of extra movement speed and a little bit of extra health to himself whenever he does manage to find some of these kills. He's found 3 of the 4 so far for Hex Mambo, so making sure to hold on to that lead in the jungle, but Zeros is very close behind, level 19, alongside Deathwalker, who are both just waiting to hit that level 20, get those starter items upgraded. But as we start approaching this 22-minute point in the game, as we start getting a little bit further in, team fights are going to be the name of the game. When it comes down to these two teams, do you have any favoritism towards one of these two, you know, for being able to get advantage in a team fight?
We're looking at full build. I think I have to give the credit over to Hex Mambo, but at the moment there are some ways that Styx Ferrymen's team fight is a little bit better. And I think it's that Streak Up is just doing way more damage to carries, whereas Echrome is itemized solely for shredding through tanks, right? He's got the Silver Branch, he's got the Kin size, he doesn't have any sort of crit in that build, so he will be able to shred through the tanks, but the carries will die a lot slower. Ice just doesn't have the damage to back up his kit at the moment, as it looks like this could be an opportunity to go for a Fire Giant here. Pay attention to where Echrome is. Your ADC's on this side of the map, so you might see a potential pull, but it looks like just going for some back camps, as there are still some power spikes to be had. You were talking about it. Deathwalker ticks over to 20, would love to finish that Bluestone upgrade, maybe the Bluestone Brooch, as it looks like Styx Ferrymen are going to rotate over here onto Deathwalker, but they saw Johnny and they backed off.
Yeah, it's all 10 players on the right side of the map, but not really grouped for Fire Giant. It's more so just grouped to fight. Deathwalker has his ultimate and probably wants to use it the second he gets the opportunity to do so, but he doesn't. He's holding on to it, does get a shell, keep him alive. The ultimate for the World Serpent and Ice are going to be enough to take him down. Deathwalker saving that ultimate for the next fight. And now the Hex Mambo are down a player and could be down more. Trickshank finds the silence, finds his ultimate out there, but it's only going to lock Rotwin in place.
Yeah, Echrome and Johnny are trying to counter this fight, so actually trying to go in here. Azrael's taking a fair bit of damage from Zeros as well. I'm waiting to see where will Johnny find an opportunity to go in. I don't think there is one. Still, very healthy are all 5 members of the Styx Ferrymen beside Azrael and Rotwin, who are about half health at the moment. Loki wrapped around and Loki decided to back off. As long as Fire Giant's not being looked at, I don't think there's any opportunity to really look for an engage here. You know, if the Ferrymen start pulling it, that's one thing, but Deathwalker still as a whole can get here very quickly. This is more of a stall game, if anything.
Johnny elected to go back and clear some of the waves in mid instead. Now it's Styx Ferrymen who have an advantage around the Fire Giant. Azrael teleports back in, so he's back to full HP. Rotwin able to sustain up just a little bit while Styx Ferrymen grab themselves a Pyromancer. Now the gold has been completely closed back. Azrael being slowed down by Trickshank, being slowed down by Zeros and a Dharmic Pillar to slow him down even more. Johnny will make sure to take him down. His World Serpent ultimate does come out just in time to find a way out. Johnny doesn't have his ultimate. It's Gunter who's going to be the one to put him down. Deathwalker up on the tree, but where will he land back? Will it be in the middle of 5, or will it be back with the rest of the team? It's only on to Gunter for now. Deathwalker has used his one form of escape to get in and will only have his dart to get out.
Yeah, but the Hex Mambo are still trying to chase this one down. Trix has a lot of cooldown, but no Dharmic Pillars to try and engage here. And it does look like another back off. So trade for trade in the sense of you lose Deathwalker, and then you lose Johnny right as it's an opportunity to try and fight back in. Used all of his cooldowns and all of his Loki damage onto the Yorm, and Azrael was able to go into that World Serpent. So you really can't put all of your Loki damage into the Yorm here. Just too tanky, too many mitigations, that sort of thing. It's just really difficult to try and find a pick in that regard. But Johnny will be back up in 10 seconds, and unless Styx Ferrymen pull this right away, they shouldn't have to worry about a Fire Giant pull.
Hex Mambo are able to regroup themselves, though it's an ultimate transformation out of Rotwin. He's got the AoE coerce. He's also got a way to be able to slow this one down. Fire Giant not taking a whole lot of damage. In fact, the Styx Ferrymen, they'll back themselves away, at least for the time being.
Yeah, it looks like right when the Dharmic Pillars came through to counter that Draconic transformation, Styx Ferrymen called that one off. Johnny is back, and it's not at the Fire Giant. He's actually going for red buff right now, so it doesn't really feel like there's any presence needed at the FG, as there is some time before it could be re-pulled. You don't want to pull without your dragon. You know, if you got a dwarf, that's one thing, but you got a dragon, that's when the Fire Giant's gonna be burning very quickly. You can coerce the whole team, as opposed to just one person. Your DPS is just so much better, and you're stunning, things like that. And now Mambo are back grouped as 5, so the Ferrymen have essentially lost their man advantage, but they are ahead in gold at the moment, and Ice was able to get to level 20 and upgrade a Seer of the Jungle. Gunter has that Bluestone Brooch, and Streak Up has that Death's Embrace. So still some power spikes that have been had, as the Ferrymen are just going to grab this Primal Fury in the meantime. Hex Mambo show no signs of trying to get aggressive here.
Johnny can just take out Ice, who's tanking up that Fury all by himself, and now it's Johnny versus Streak Up. Stealth is good. Johnny will turn back to try and fight. This one is winning thanks to the help of that Bumba's Hammer. Johnny gonna take the 2v1 and win in both counts of it. Double kill for the jungler of Hex Mambo.
Yeah, the whole time I was watching Johnny juke around in stealth, I was like, you win this. Why are you running? Because there's no Deathbringer for Streak Up. Those crits aren't hitting hard enough. He still has ult, by the way. He didn't use it that whole time. He could have used it at any moment, but Johnny held on to that assassinate. Now is just pushing through left lane while Echrome and Trix are doing this very slowly, I might add, because no crit build for the Heimdall. Gunter is going to make the rotation over to Deathwalker. He's going to take a ton of damage and just gets deleted.
Absolutely erased. Fire Giant, half HP. Rotwin steps up, and Trixtank will stop tanking the Fire Giant to instead try and take down this dragon. A leap in by Rotwin will find a double stun onto Trixtank. Echrome is in danger to the World Serpent in the back line of the fight. But now there's no more World Serpent. There might not be much more Rotwin because Johnny has showed up. Zeros gets the kill, but Johnny is the one who pokes him down.
He's
Azrael
teleports
away as fast as he can, and well, because he can't be CC'd such as a knockback and whatnot, he'll have the distance and the time to get out.
Yeah, he will be able to teleport out of that one. Yeah, you gotta love the TPs to escape there. Johnny wasn't a part of that fight, and that is why Deathwalker was dying there. I feel like the Mambo have such a better team fight here, but they aren't grouped as 5 around the objective every time someone gets picked. The first time Deathwalker decided not to ult out. The second time Johnny uses all of his damage on a Yorm, and then the third time, I mean, that one, Deathwalker didn't have beads and just got axe to the face. Unless he pre-ulted that axe, I don't think was able to ult out that time either. But now, Mambo are grouped as 5 once again. And the Styx Ferrymen have a ton of DPS, a ton of damage. They would love for Streak Up to get the Deathbringer. They would love for Gunter to finish that Titan's Bane, but still able to throw up a fight if need be. Enhanced Fire Giant's about a minute 40 off at the moment, so still some time to stall if you want to. But Mambo are back in the lead in gold-wise. That's all I've noticed thus far.
Yeah, it's a very, very close gold lead at that, though. Only about 800, 500 or so going back and forth at this stage of the game. Essentially negligible between them. Trixtank walking forward towards Eyesight. Stunned just off the mark by Deathwalkers. He will not find that CC he was looking for. And now with all 10 players grouped up, we could see one of our first true 5v5 team fights of this game. But nope. At least as of now, Hex Mambo will back up. They'll grab their Scorpion and still keep themselves grouped up around fire.
Yeah, they are still grouped, and they are going to look at the Pyromancer here, as Azrael is underneath trying to find a knockup. We'll find a little bit of poke at an E-Star proc, but could be in some trouble, taking a lot of damage.
Azrael does have ultimate, might need to use it early to get out of this team fight. Does find 2 with the first tick, and will use the second ones to reposition himself with the rest of the team, but it's Styx Ferrymen completely on the run. Just the ultimate from Deathwalker enough to scare the Ferrymen to backing away. The Pyromancer goes to Hex Mambo, and not a Fire Giant. Gunter very low throughout that fight. In fact, instead of finding a time to back, he'll just run all the way to his fountain.
Yeah, Gunter was 1 HP. I mean, like, let's just say 20%. Had no Aegis, had no beads. Rotwin didn't have Shell. And Deathwalker chose not to chase that one down, wanted to stay with the squad. I felt like that was a very free pick for Rat. But also, you don't want to put your Rat that far into the back line. Maybe gets turned on a trade at this point in the game. Maybe not worth it. And Enhanced Fire Giant's 3 seconds away. So a risky gamble like that, not always the call. And I think smart for Mambo to call him off from that ult and say, hey, maybe we don't have to dive this one. We got both the relics, but Gunter's beads are up in about 15 seconds. So we'll lose one of those advantages shortly. Whereas everything for Mambo's up except for Deathwalker's blink.
Yeah, that'll be down for about another minute. Hex Mambo grouped up around the Fire Giant. Johnny will go back to base and finish up some of his final items in his build and buy himself a Potion of Power. So full build for Johnny, and starting to swing just a little bit harder once he uses that potion. It gets himself right back into the fight. Again, another chance for a full 5v5 team fight. Hex Mambo won that last one, forcing Styx Ferrymen back to their bases at the very least. So not getting an actual knockout, just getting one of those TKOs up against them. Hex Mambo still continuing. Deathwalker up in the sky, and Dharmic Pillar in the backline. Streak Up finds the airstrike before the knockup comes through from Deathwalker, who is spinning in the backline. The Sproof comes out, and it's enough to at least zone away Rotwin. Eyesight trying to fight back, but Eyesight is losing that battle. First kill of the fight goes to Hex Mambo, and maybe a second, unless this World Serpent from Azrael can keep them zoned back.
Yeah, Johnny still has the Assassinate here, but is pushing down mid instead of looking at that Enhanced Fire Giant. Streak Up is able to fly back in with both relics available. I still have my eyes on everyone on the Styx Ferrymen because they're posting up here. Deathwalker's kind of weak, but they don't want the Fire Giant. They're still trying to find this engage. Looks like they will just be scared and trying to pull back and forth. Johnny's got ult. That's got to be the go button here. The Hex Mambo don't want to pull this enhanced Fire Giant. They want to get another pick.
Gunter is putting out so much poke on this Uller. You can see that Johnny is getting quarter health or more with every single ability that ends up landing from this Ul. So for now, Gunter seems to be the one keeping these team fights alive, keeping this Hex Mambo from really pushing in towards these Fire Giant objectives. Just this raw damage output from a full build Ul is hitting a little too hard for the Hex Mambo's comfort.
Yeah, and it looks like they will get the full reset, and Ice spawns back in 1 second. So once again, the advantage is gone. Hex Mambo did get the pick, and I guess, you know, gold pretty irrelevant at the moment, but climbs their gold lead even more in their favor, I suppose, as it will be just another reset for a Fire Giant bait into an attempted pick. All carry relics are up on the side of the 6 Ferrymen, and all carry relics are up on the side of Hex Mambo. Just support relics both down on both sides. It seems like once that Sprout and the Shell get popped, on the opposite side, Rawin has to just force into his relics as well. So those cooldowns just mirroring each other. And now, once again, Mambo are up against the EFG, got some vision down. They might just try for a bait again.
Azriel, without the spit, get some damage up against Trickstank. Echrome took a little bit of poke during all of that trading back and forth, but we are still sitting at around minute 5 now of this Fire Giant dance. Hex Mambo have made signs of trying to pull it, but it's always been a bait to get the Styx Ferrymen to walk into a disadvantageous position more than anything else. Echrome again walking through the Fire Giant pit just to try and bait Azriel or somebody forward, but no one on Styx Ferrymen are taking this bait. They are waiting patiently for someone on Hex Mambo to make a mistake, like Johnny trying to find a mistake up against Ice. Shell had to be used early in the fight, and Hex, unfortunately for Ice, he walks right back into the Loki, and Johnny finds yet another pick. Zeros is low, has that ultimate available. Deathwalker crashes down onto Azriel, will get the World Serpent away. And again, Hex Mambo find another pick, but they still have not gone towards the fire.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna analyze it. I know what's gonna happen. Johnny's gonna maybe split push in mid. Hex Mambo's gonna pick this up until Gunter walks up and pokes them out, and then no enhanced Fire Giant will be pulled. And if I'm wrong, we'll see, but it looks like it's going the same exact way. I will say Johnny is trying to kill Gunter right now, or at least posturing towards it. Sitting around that mid wave, waiting for Uller to step up. The enhanced Fire Giant has been pulled, and Uller's not close just yet. Johnny is having his eyes on the Uller.
It's not going down quickly. Home sweet home out of Zeros will force the leap away for Rotwin. Azriel was able to teleport back to this fight. And Zeros still is not getting a lot of damage. Ultimate comes out from Trickstank, but Trickstank is getting shredded by the damage that's coming out of Streak Up and Gunter. Rotwin as well, losing a lot of his HP. He'll be forced back to base. And so will Trickstank. So the supports both going down to about a quarter HP in the fight. That's going to dissuade both teams from going to fire.
Yep, that's about what I expected, and Pyromancer spawning back in, and it will just be a full reset. So Ice once again gets to return to the fight. If Echrome had crit, and actually he did just sell his build, so I think they realized this as well. If he had crit, they'd be able to shred through this enhanced Fire Giant so much faster, and he did sell for the win even. So a little bit of crit chance. I think a little bit more would go a long way here just for objective DPS in general, and also putting Johnny on the objective would also help out the objective DPS. But then your zone duty's a little rough, and Gunter has some pretty solid steal opportunity on this Ul, so you got to watch out for the hail of arrows at any moment when you're trying to go for an objective like this. Once again, we are seeing the FG dance as Johnny is positioning himself towards those mid camps. Ice has walked into this Loki one too many times. I have to imagine he's on the lookout for it this time, not going to step up and get one shot by the Vanish.
It's a 6-1 Loki for Johnny right now. Axe toss off the mark. Johnny half HP and jukes out the hail of arrows that potentially could have put him down into critical HP. For now, Johnny will grab a mid camp. He's gonna have to go back to the base and re-sustain. Azriel not gonna let him do it so freely. And Johnny's just gonna fight right back up against him. Johnny is winning the 1v1 on the right side, but Zeros is losing the team fight on the right over here. Streak Up gets one pick. Deathwalker able to trade it out, but it's a double kill now for Streak Up. In a 3v2, Johnny does manage to find one out of all of that. Jukes away one shot, but not another. It's a triple kill now for Streak Up. Trickstank and Echrome, the last two alive. Streak Up is gonna dash in. That's a quadra kill for the Jing Wei, and airstrike to chase it down, and one more auto is all that's needed. Streak Up finds the pentakill for the Styx Ferrymen.
Streak Up just doing so much damage, and they don't care about the enhanced Fire Giant J-Mac. They're going to run it down mid lane. They've got plenty of time on their hands, 28 seconds, and then they're going to make me wrong because they're going to go back to the enhanced Fire Giant. They don't care about the mid lane anymore. They do want that objective.
They are going to grab the enhanced Fire Giant. What a turnaround for the Styx Ferrymen. They've lost the last 2-3 team fights that have happened around this, and all they needed was one moment where Johnny wasn't in the fight. Azriel keeps Johnny away for the entirety of that team fight, and it opens up the door for Streak Up and the Styx Ferrymen to finally find the team fight they were looking for. They grab Enhanced Fire Giant, they grab Pyromancer, and now it's Styx Ferrymen in control.
Yeah, you can't let the crit Jingwei free cast. I mean, that's just the difference in DPS between E-Chrome and Streak Up. You know, shredding through the tanks is definitely beneficial, but you're going to see a lot of these carries just start popping. Even the tanks, just 2-shot to zeros there.
Yeah, that was a 600 plus auto. They got hit on one carry. The tanks are eating 250 plus, and a nice perspective from Streak Up throughout the entirety of this fight. And this is what I was talking about with Johnny and with Azriel, is that Azriel and Johnny were having their 1v1 in mid that entire time, so there wasn't this always present Loki to really put any kind of threat towards this carry, so Streak Up was just allowed to free cast this whole fight.
Pentakill, man.
Oh, it's got to feel good.
Yeah, I just wanted to wait.
I wonder what announcer pack he was using to hear that in.
I don't know. I hope the Hindu Man one. That one's got a good.
That's a good one?
That one's got a good penta line.
Is that the one that you stick with? What announcer pack do you use?
I use a lot of them. I sometimes randomize them just to keep
call.
it interesting. I used to use the Tina one for a long time.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah, whenever she yells at me, it just makes me play better. I don't know.
Styx Ferrymen grouping up left side of the map, tier 2 tower down. Still 2 more towers left standing. It seems the Ferrymen will go ahead and push all of these ones down to give the Titan as little HP as possible for this push. Now Hex Mambo, for the real first time in this game, are the ones on defense, for the first time really in this set. It's Hex Mambo on defense, and for their defense in these Phoenixes, I mean, how does that look for them?
I mean, it's going to look rough. You got Streak Up with so much damage coming through. Obviously, Gunter's been poking out from a distance as well. And I don't think that the tanks of Hex Mambo have itemized that well against it. Deathwalker has no Spectral armor. Obviously, Trix is quite tanky with the Spectral, but I just don't think has that much DPS to try and kill this Jingwei. Someone has to go on Jingwei. And Johnny is full DPS. Is going to get... I feel like if they tried to 1v1, he would just get 3-shot before he's able to get the full brunt of his damage off. And as long as Streak Up speeds are up, won't really care about Assassinate either.
Tier 2 tower goes down without much resistance from Hex Mambo. Styx Ferrymen able to take all towers off the map, and they still have a minute and a half to play with this enhanced Fire Giant buff. But for 39 minutes of the game, most of these players are hitting their full build. Just a couple of item change-ups here and there from some of the players. The supports are about an item away or a half item away from being full build, full completion. So we've gotten to see what one team fight is able to look like, though that one was mostly a 4v4 team fight, to say the very least. Now Hex Mambo are going to have to make their defenses under the Phoenix.
They're going to have to make them count for sure, because there's no backdoor protections anymore. Streak Up and Rotwin are running down left, as they're not going to do the split. I expected to see someone in mid lane, maybe Ice, but I think Ice is probably worried that he loses that 1v1 up against Johnny without the enhanced Fire Giant buff, because Ice and Beazriel don't have it. Rotwin's going to walk in with a huge stun and start this one off.
Dharmic Pillar slows down Streak Up and Rotwin. The decoy from Johnny will at least put a little bit of extra poke in. Streak Up should be able to sustain most of this with his lifesteal. Axe toss off the mark. Azriel goes in aggressively, the only one on his team under that Phoenix. He'll take a little bit of poke alongside Rodwin. The Frenzy has been expended as well, so that's their major turn and burn taken away. There is still the Draconic form out of Rotwin if need be, but a little bit of time before the minion wave shows up.
Yeah, finally going into that Draconic transformation though. Rotwin has transformed, but hasn't used that Coerce yet. Once we see that this team-wide AoE buff, that's when this Phoenix is going to get absolutely shredded. Holding on to it for the minion, and here it goes.
Does go through. Ice into the back line, getting melted. He's got to jump away. World Serpent goes through. Deathwalker's still alive, but Ice is not. Zeros finds one. The World Serpent for the retreat for Beazriel. Is 4 strong of Hex Mambo. Push forward. Rotwin stunned out by Johnny and taken down. Hex Mambo defend their left side Phoenix, and it's the Styx Ferrymen now on the run.
Well, Trix ulted very early on in that fight, and will have it up shortly as Johnny, with the Bumbus Hammer, can certainly chase down Beazriel. Streak Up went uncontested in that fight, but wasn't able to get to anyone because the tanks died too quickly. Might try and help out as Streak Up is wrapping around here, but will just have to dash away. Good silence by Trix. the dash should be enough to close that gap. Left side tier 2 being looked at, and it's just the ADCs versus all of Hex Mambo.
Gunter and Streaka are going to have to put up a lot of defense at their own Titan. It's 25 seconds until Ice is back. This left Phoenix will stand no chance against Hex Mambo. They'll be able to take this one down. Maybe not as fast as they'd like to. They're missing out on some of those minions. Deathwalker even rotating over through. An ultimate to the backline by Johnny isn't going to do much. Gunter manages to find a pick onto Trixtank. An ultimate by Deathwalker finds Gunter, but it finds the relics of Gunter. 4 seconds until Ice is back, and that is the call for Hex Mambo to retreat. Echrome getting heavily poked out.
Yeah, but the left side Phoenix does go down. Azriel's down for about 20 seconds. You gotta stall. The name of the game here is stalling 50 seconds until Trix is back up, because the Styx Ferrymen can do this enhanced fire giant so quickly, and I think they know that, given the way they are just beelining for it. With Streak Up critting essentially every single auto attack, Ice with some true damage here. I imagine the enhanced fire giant has to be what they're looking at, but it looks like Ice is going more towards Deathwalker, probably knowing he's about to turn that corner, and Deathwalker is gonna run away here. It looks like the enhanced fire giant is on the table as Zeros and Deathwalker are stepping up.
Gunter gets the coerce buff put onto him. Azriel teleports to the backline. The fire giant is pushed down to half HP already. Johnny gets knocked up by Azriel. Johnny trying to run from the Jormungandr, but he's gonna have to turn and burn. World Servant comes out to chase away Johnny, and all the while, Azriel is able to find that kill. The Pyromancer goes down, and the Styx Ferrymen should be able to grab themselves the enhanced fire giant for their troubles, unless Zeros can find a miracle steal over the wall. Will not be able to do so. It's Ferrymen once again with the fire giant. Zeros being chased out by Ice, and that will be a kill onto Azriel and a kill onto Zeros.
Yeah, now it's a 3v4, and Styx Ferrymen have enhanced fire giant. There is a left side bird, and minions are on the Titan, so if Mambo can defend here, they might be looking pretty solid for some end calls, but it looks like Deathwalker's going up into the tree, and that'll stall for the Ferrymen to back up.
There are 3 here at the moment. Deathwalker finds 2, and with the Dharmic Pillars, Gunter is falling low, but it's a turn and burn back onto Deathwalker. He finds a path out. Echrome teleports away. The Phoenix is still standing. The Titan down to about 60% health in the base of the Styx Ferrymen, and with just the one Phoenix, that should be their call to back up. Somebody has got to go back and deal with these minions.
Yeah, maybe a backstop here from Echrome could be massive, but it looks like won't back up just yet. We'll run away a little bit as Ice gets back in time to defend those minions. It's just the stall game here, J-Mac. The Styx Ferrymen would love for this left side Phoenix to respawn and get back into the swing of things where they just don't have to worry about fire minions constantly pouring to their base. And if they group up and push left lane, that's exactly how that'll happen. They have the enhanced fire giant once again. And maybe this time the left side Phoenix will go their way. Looks like Deathwalker will be able to push out the right side minions, because flip-flopped, the Hex Mambo are missing a Phoenix as well. But you know, they're just back. We're just back to the drawing board. It's essentially, can the Hex Mambo once again win a defense into an enhanced fire giant squad? This time one extra member has it. Ice actually has that buff, so maybe able to push in mid up against Johnny.
Now Deathwalker will clear out the fire minions on the right side of the map. That'll give them ample time to defend anywhere else that need be, but I mean, right side is the least important out of all of them as far as the lanes are concerned, with fire waves pushing down them.
Echrome build crit.
Oh, he did. He ended up selling his Odysseus bow to get a second crit item.
I mean, I was just wondering when he was going to realize how much damage he was missing out on by just building that way, and he was like, "Wait, Shriek Up got a penta and he has crit. Maybe
I can get a penta if I build some crit."
Yeah, he's like, maybe I need the Wind Demon. So he built that, and he's like, it's not enough. I need Deathbringer. So finally, maybe Echrome can match some of the popping autos that are coming the way of Shriek Up. Once that Envenom Deathbringer comes through, will definitely help out a little bit more. He's probably just sitting on a few more gold until that comes through. And there it is. So now Echrome's going to be able to match a little bit of that presence.
Hey, even Ice gets some crit too. Ended up selling both his Golden Blade and his Hasten Katana, and now has an Atalantis bow and an Envenom Deathbringer of his own. So crit across the board for some of these auto attack carries.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Ice was 1-7, pretty much losing the 1v1 up against Johnny every time. But if he can get to zeros, as we saw last time, shreds through the Baba Yaga. I was expecting to see Johnny go for that Phoenix, and it looks like they are warding it just in case the Bumba's Hammer, Hydrosproc, Loki tries to go for the cheeky backdoor. Could 1v1 the Titan at this point with how low it was, but the Phoenix is up, and now this left side feed will begin. Only 55 seconds on Enhanced Fire Giant.
It's not going to be a very long push for the Ferrymen to try and grab this one out. Azriel standing on top of the ward. So Mambo knows that he's there, but Echrome He's going to eat some poke immediately from Gunter. The benefit of this long-ranged poke-style hunter that Gunter is piloting has been able to net them a lot of free damage in these fights to give their team the advantage. But Styx Ferrymen, even with Enhanced Fire Giant, not going to go in without at least their minions. Maybe this Trebuchet can answer a couple of questions for them. Trebuchet steps up and will start getting some poke damage up on this Phoenix. And Hex Mambo are going to need to answer to it, otherwise it's just going to slowly whittle away at the bird's health.
Yeah, Zeros has been hitting some clutch potion shots. Johnny's been dropping the decoy whenever possible, but Gunter also answers back with the poke, as you mentioned. Echrome sitting pretty low. And Johnny and Azriel have just been going into stealth consistently to target each other. Azriel can see Johnny whenever that comes through, and a ping will usually come through as well. So now Azriel's going to go in, and it looks like Rotwin's stepping up as well, but it's really just the Trebuchet damage, J-Mac. No one's auto-attacked the Phoenix just yet.
Yeah, Trebuchet has lost most of its health trying to get some shots in. Deathwalker up on the tree. Echrome at a quarter HP, and is still being poked away. This Phoenix has not gone down, the Trebuchet has not gone down, and Deathwalker has not left from the tree yet. He will finally turn away from it, and this left Phoenix should go down. The Styx Ferrymen are not willing to step into the Phoenix line to actually take this.
Yeah, Enhanced Fire Giant's gone. This was a great stall by Mama, but that right side Phoenix is spawning shortly. If someone doesn't go defend it, it will go down, and it looks like the minions are going to be there, so that's going to die unless Johnny can ult in as quickly as possible. It's going to be very close. Maybe he's got the defense. Let's watch! And it's gone.
Not enough. Not enough. Ultimate definitely would have been able to get there in time to stop it, but not wanting to expend that ult just to get over to the minions. So right side Phoenix gone yet again for Hex Mambo, so Ferrymen will continue to push down that lane, but the left side Phoenix still held onto, even with literally all the damage that the Trebuchet could throw out against this Phoenix. It's still not enough to drop the bird on the left side of the Mambo.
Yeah, we're 48 minutes in. We're looking at our third Enhanced Fire Giant of the game, and the last two have went to the Ferrymen. I'm not sure who really has the advantage here, because the right side Phoenix is not that hard to defend up against Fire Giant. Someone can easily clear those minions consistently and go in for the EFG here. Given the fact that the Ferrymen have just been dominating these team fights, like Johnny can blow up one person or so, but it's so difficult to get to the backline. And you see all those big numbers coming through from Streak Up. That's going to be happening to just about anyone that gets close to this Jingwei.
4-digit crit.
Oh yeah,
Lord,
that was a lot of 4-digit crits.
We are at the stage of the game where the hunters are hitting 4 digits on crits. Now it is an objective, so at least that Pyromancer going to be a little less tanky than some of the people he'll be hitting, but even still, scary sight to see when the Jingwei is hitting crit numbers that big. But as you say, we are 48, now 49 minutes into the game, and one more team fight is all that it could take to end this one out. But we've seen the Ferrymen unwilling to make a full committed dive into the Phoenix, even despite having a Trebuchet to help poke out the Phoenix, but even despite how tanky Azriel and Rotwin are going into these team fights. I say that, but Azriel himself really isn't all that tanky. He only has a couple of defense items. The Fire Giant started. Deathwalker up on the tree. Azriel sending out to try and find Johnny. Will spot out the Loki, but Deathwalker's ultimate on cooldown for this team fight.
Yeah, just went up trying to stop the DPS. The Enhanced Fire Giant decides not to go in, and the rest of Hex Mambo follows suit. And it looks like Azriel is just on Johnny duty, making sure that this Loki cannot get to the backline and one-shot someone. I'm surprised there's still 2 tier 2 towers up for the Ferrymen. I didn't even realize that. I thought those got down so long ago because of how much presence Mambo had, 30 minutes ago in this game, but that's all been gone. And now back to the drawing board. Ice is going to go for the speed buff spawn. That right side Phoenix is about half life, so could be spawning back in if this dance continues. No one ready to pull the Enhanced Fire Giant once again.
See Azriel lurk down into the water, see if he can find anybody. It's just going to be a knock-up on a Trixtank, some good damage up against the Elephant for now. Trixtank will be able to waddle himself back to the rest of the team, sitting down about a quarter of his HP. Fire Giant teased once again by the Ferrymen. Streak Up's got damage to try and push this one out, but that's a lot of HP on the objective and not a lot of HP onto Trixtank. Brute will only catch Rotwin, but it's a leap away from the Fafnir. Azriel half HP, spots out Deathwalker, stops the back of the Ratatosker, but that'll be the death of Azriel as Johnny goes in, uses the ultimate to disengage and get away from Ice and Gunter.
Yeah, but Rotwin still has the Draconic Transformation, and the Enhanced Fire Giant is still being looked at. Deathwalker's ult already back up, and this time around, Mambo should feel confident.
Rotwin half HP, a dunk in by Deathwalker, just misses. Ice turns around, and Rotwin picks up a kill against Deathwalker now. Streak Up staring down the barrel of 4, uses his Aegis to get away. Finds the airstrike just in time. Not enough dot damage to kill the Jingwei. Less than 20 HP on the Hunter for the Styx Ferrymen. But Hex Mambo aren't healthy enough to go for enhanced fire of their own. It's just another stall out.
They're not going to pull the fire. I mean, right side Phoenix is coming up, so if you are Mambo, it is a win, I suppose, to get your bird up and then win a fight after the fact. Looks like Zeros will be able to clear those away. So much damage coming from Johnny. His build hasn't changed in 30 minutes, so like no reason for me to highlight it. It's just he's been getting off the max value that you can from this Loki. Yeah, Streak up once again, pulling this FG, even though they're a man down. Deathwalker's also dead, so they're not even in that regard.
And Azrael does have teleport in 10 seconds after his spawn in. So Azrael can be right back to the fight. Rotwin goes in, E-Chrome goes out, Trix Tank gets stunned, and Zeros will jump himself away. Styx Ferrymen still with the advantage around the Fire Giant, healthier members on their team. Fire Giant just being soloed by Streak Up, at least for now. Him and Gunter will put some damage through. Johnny against Ice. It's not enough damage to take down either of them. Both the junglers will regroup themselves and start working on some of these minions. Right side Phoenix has respawned for Hex Mambo, and John will make sure to push away the last of the fire waves.
Yeah, Azrael teleported in, but Deathwalker is still there. Trix has to use Fruit, and Enhanced Fire Giant goes the way of Ferryman, but do Mambo try and chase this down? They kind of have to.
Azrael does get to the World Serpent. That's an easy disengage for the Jormungandr. The Hex Mambo have no way of stopping that. They have no way of chasing into it. So once again, Styx Ferrymen have grabbed the Enhanced Fire Giant. That's their third one of the game. But so far with both of their Enhanced Fire Giants, they've been yet to be able to push out the left side Phoenix. They got the right side one earlier on and then retook it thanks to the help of the minions. But maybe they don't go for the left one. Maybe that one is their kryptonite right now.
Yeah, they can go for whatever they want at this point. I mean, they've got the Enhanced Fire Giant. I feel like they haven't been splitting up because Johnny is able to just take that 1v1 into just about anyone. So they aren't trying to split up as much as possible. They want Azrael and they want Rotwin to be at the front of this fight as much as possible. I saw some elixirs of powers being popped there, so Gunter is going to be absolutely chunking. Keep your eye on a hail of arrows, because if it does connect to one of these squishies, you're going to see half their health gone immediately.
Azrael Streak Up grouped in the jungle between the left and the mid Phoenixes.
Deathwalker's just behind them.
Proxy farming behind Ice, and Gunter has his ultimate, so he can get away if he ends up getting caught out here. With Enhanced Fire Giant, those minions don't mean as much as they would have 30 minutes ago at this point. Rodwin will step into the Phoenix. Silence is good. Some good poke out of Zeros as well to make sure that Rodwin doesn't stick around too long. Gunter on this full build Uller can get some good poke on E-Chrome. We saw it in the last time the Siege had tried to start up, where E-Chrome was just getting subtly poked down by Gunter with hail of arrow after hail of arrow. Rodwin does find a stun up against E-Chrome, but not really going to find too much value beyond there. It's more poke coming back out from Zeros instead.
Yeah, Streak Up is just going to heal up with Enhanced Fire Giant and a few auto attacks, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm still keeping my eye on Gunter, just seeing how much damage he can really post out with that hail of arrows. Gunter's in some trouble, though. He's underneath the fire.
Gunter does jump away. Deathwalker up on the sky, crashes down, finds two, gets the Aegis from Gunter, gets the ultimate out of Rotwin, and the damage coming out of Zeros is almost enough to kill Gunter. He has been knocked out of this fight. Zeros also low. A jump in by Rotwin, finds the stun, the World Serpent, and Streak Up will take down Zeros. That's now a double kill for Streak Up as he finds another auto to weave in between. And Azrael in the backside of the team fight will find a kill of his own up against E-Chrome. Johnny down to a quarter HP. Streak Up dashes in aggressively, and with the left Phoenix gone and only 2 left to defend, Hex Mambo have got to put in a lot of work. Johnny with no ultimate, Trix Tank with no ultimate, has to defend up against 4. Johnny is winning the fight up against Ice. Will take down 1. It's a good defense out of Johnny and a good defense out of Trix Tank. The ultimate from the Elephant will push back the Ferryman once more.
We are an hour into this game, and Johnny and Trix just defended versus 5. He's ulting in.
Johnny went in again. Azrael low. The stun is good. Rodwin misses the lead, but the crits from Streak Up absolutely erased Johnny off the map now with 4 strong. Gunter back in the team fight, and only Trix Tank. He will go down, and the Styx Ferrymen will take game number 2 just shy of 56 minutes.
Johnny did get the ult back up and tried to go for. I don't even remember the rest of this game to try and analyze what happened previously. I'll talk about the last 10 minutes. That's easy. A lot of back and forth, a lot of picking up Enhanced Fire Giant, dropping it, a pick here and there. But the Styx Ferrymen, off the back of Streak Up's crits, I would say, and Gunter's insane poke, were able to pull through here. You also got to give credit to the tanks. I think Robin was on point with the buffs, just making sure that his whole team was operating on all cylinders so they could finally take down that left side Phoenix, their kryptonite, as you said. And once that happened, the rest of the game followed.
Styx Ferrymen able to rally together in game number 2 and take that one. They'll push us now to game number 3. That one's going to be coming up right after this break.
It was a really good day.
Welcome back to the EUSCC, a 56-minute game between the Ferrymen and the Mambo. And it's the Styx Ferrymen who come out on top at the end of it. And let's dial this one back, because this is a long game. A lot happened throughout all this. Let's dial back to about the halfway point, around that 25-30-minute mark, when the Styx Ferrymen are finally able to get their breakthrough team fight. Johnny and Azrael are having their 1v1 square off in the mid lane. Streak Up finally able to break through, find a double kill early on. Johnny comes back in, gives him his triple, and then from that point on, it's a pentakill for Streak Up. And from that point onward, Styx Ferrymen had control of that game. Sure, they weren't winning those left side Phoenixes, the one kryptonite that they had, but once they were finally able to get to this very, very late game stage, you can see at this point we're 35 minutes in, and this is the first time Ferrymen actually got control in the game, Trelly.
Yeah, so before this fight, well, let's watch the Penta play out, because it was very well played by Streak Up, and he didn't miss many auto attacks. I've seen this 3 times now, and I don't get tired of it. So I just don't think the Styx Ferrymen should have been in this position, because Hex Mambo previously, they had where Johnny would just find a pick on Ice Ice, and they would balance the Fire Giant and then decide to not go on it. And then again, Johnny would find a pick on Ice Ice, and they would go to the Fire Giant once again and then not be able to go for it. It just seemed like they were a little scared to go for the FG. And then once it got to the point of the EFG, this Jingwei, Streak Up in particular, was just popping off, doing way too much damage. If you look at the builds, Spectral Armor, not very highly prioritized here. Usually when there's someone like a Jingwei you're up against, the jungle, the solo, and the support will pick up a Spectral Armor. That wasn't really the case here. Deathwalker was able to get to the backline and do CC, but was not able to survive because of those crits. And what are you holy moly in?
Okay, I know this is almost an hour-long game, but still seeing a 6-digit damage mitigation is really impressive. Rodwin is 126,000 damage mitigated that game. Again, we were an hour into that one. We've seen almost that kind of crazy numbers in less time played, but it's always still cool to see a 6-digit of any of these numbers pop up.
Yeah, Rodwin, as I highlighted at the end there, was just making sure the whole team was buffed up, had the relics usage on point. You know, using the Coerce at the start of those Phoenixes, making sure that they were all firing on all cylinders, as I said. Just a great play out of all the Styx Ferrymen there. But still, I think that was Mambo's game to lose. They had the lead. They had the objective play. It was just after 30 minutes, their comp just didn't quite do as much. And I understand that a lot of their comp does sort of fall off. But Johnny was finding those picks. They just couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny ended with 10+ kills during that game, all onto his own there. So Hex Mambo got to turn it around in game number 3. We'll see what they can do in the picks and bans for that one, as we jump ourselves right into it. We did see, some prioritization towards the Jingwei, and finally actually got to see what a Jingwei was capable of again. I mean, like I've been saying whenever we jump into these SCC games, even the SPL, is ever since Masters, we haven't really seen the dominant Jingwei performance that we were used to seeing in Masters. She's only eaten a little bit of a nerf herself, some of her itemization, but now we got to see the threat that god is able to bring by way of Streak Up in that game. Hex Mambo will ban away Jormungandr. Azrael maybe a little too tricky to deal with. That means that we might have an opportunity to see Azrael's tier come out this time.
Yeah, the tier got through. They didn't ban Loki, which I would have expected. They banned the Mercury instead. So interesting one. They haven't grabbed the tier. Instead, they went for the Yu Huang and the Osiris. So maybe just fearing the tier for no reason. Maybe the Styx Ferrymen don't care about it too much. But the Chernobog and the Fafnir will be grabbed here on the side of Hex Mambo. Their duo lane already just locked and loaded very early on, wanting to get that global presence and taking away Fafnir from Watwin, who just had a fantastic game. So I respect that. And getting Deathwalker back on the Ama, which I think he had a great performance on game 1 as well. So Hex Mambo doing everything they can to make sure that they get their advantages here. And Styx Ferrymen seem to be happy with this one. So they get Yemoja.
Wow. It's also very surprising the fact that this god has barely over like a 60% pick ban rate, sitting at 64 right now, and has only seen one game within that. When we go up to like the SPL, we're talking like 100% pick ban rate, and we see maybe like 4 games played kind of on that god. So it's so wild to see the EUSCC doesn't have nearly the same level of priority towards her as some of the other regions, maybe some of the other leagues. But as the bans roll through, Baba Yaga and Loki now banned by Styx Ferrymen, so not going to allow Zeros or Johnny to run back their gods. And then Tyr and Artemis on the opposite side gives Jingwei one more time over to Streak Up.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they put more. I guess Artemis is more annoying to deal with, and I don't think if Streak Up doesn't get to 35+ minutes, I don't think Jingwei has that same success. So maybe Mambo are trying to end this one a little bit earlier, not let it get as out of hand as that game was. Discordia gonna be the option here for Zeros, as we are seeing the Hoonbats lock in for Johnny. So more of that team fight presence. Something like that, and I think the Apple always going to be a good team fight. Discordia is interesting because we see sometimes where she's highly prioritized and then sometimes where she's not picked at all. Wheelix actually a solid last pick here. A lot of leaps on the side of Mambo that they sort of just picked themselves into. Maybe didn't think about the Wheelix pick because it's not usually something that anyone prioritizes. They've got a decent amount of knockups there with Jingwei as well and the Yemoja, so this could be an interesting one.
Yeah, plenty of opportunities for this Wheelish to find a pull with that Gravity Surge, and as you highlighted, a few of the leaps, Discordia, Hoonbots, and Fafnir are all going to have to be very conscious of when they use those leaps. We'll jump right in to game number 3 between Hex Mambo and Styx Ferrymen, the #1 seed EU team, taking on one of the mid packs at the 1-1 of their own for Styx Ferrymen. We'll see if Hex Mambo can rally it back together and keep their undefeated streak, or will we see an upset in the EU and the Styx Ferrymen able to dethrone the final undefeated team?
Yeah, I mean, within a Wheelix with a Blink up against a Hoonbat, you have to get active early, right? If not, Johnny's going to have such a free target with the Fear No Evil. You should be able to just find complete 100 of zeros onto this Wheelix CC chain So I imagine Ice wants to get active very early and just continue that snowball. That's what Awilix is best at. She falls off pretty hard late game and just trying to get active as much as possible. With that blink, Feather Step, one of just the hardest hitting abilities to level 1.
It's going to do quite a bit of damage. We do have just Zeros left by himself to do these mid camps. Typically we see the jungler in mid rotate between the speed buff to red or the red buff to speed. You get a back camp, you go to wave, and you deal with it. But Johnny leaving Zeros alone by himself in the mid to instead work on a couple of those camps for himself. They'll both still hit level 2. So will Ice and Gunter. As Ice gets aggressive onto Zeros, put some of that early poke on the Discordia.
And this is what I was talking about. Ice just has so much damage. It wasn't too much. Obviously, it didn't net in a kill, but Zeros has to watch out with those potions, make sure he's consistently healed up. Once you get in that threshold and then the Wheelix just blinks on you, there's not too much outplay potential for a Discordia up against a Feather Step, so you got to watch out for that. And I expect to see more action in the mid lane specifically because that's just where the squishiest targets lie. And once again, Zeros could be in some trouble.
Good lord!
There it goes.
He goes down. The damage of this early Huang, we talk about it a lot on the SPL with what this level 1, 2, and 3 is capable of this god. That root into fire combo is just a little bit too much, and then you throw in Ice in the mix. That's first blood for Hex Mambo.
Yep, and now Ice gets to use that wherever he sees fit. Because again, you get that first blood in the jungle, you ride Suku to wherever you need to get more kills because you should be hitting level 5 before Johnny, and you can just look around. It's just one of those things where it's unfortunate because Zeros doesn't have much clear, right? Discordia, not the best early game, really only used for her passive. Someone is getting that passive. More often than not, it's going to be Deathwalker in the solo lane. It just does a little bit of extra damage against the opposition, try to play through that lane. But in mid lane, your clear is not the best. So if you are stepping up to that wave to try and clear, you're putting yourself in danger of getting, Feather Step for 200 damage, and we already saw how much damage Gunter was able to do.
Yeah, Gunter putting out that early damage for the mage. A Conduit Gem actually has his first item, which is something we haven't been seeing as much in the mid lane, surprisingly, with the buffs that came to Conduit Gem, the extra damage that it deals out to some of these minions. We thought maybe we'd see a little bit more of it, but it's still mostly been that Sands of Time start over anything else. Riptide's out of Rotwin will make sure to reposition himself and streak up, as the pressure in the duo lane from Echrome and Trixtank has been unrelenting to say the least. I mean, Trixtank even going so far as to jumping out of the jungle into the middle of 2 of them just to get some pressure.
I'm definitely a Conduit Gem fan. I think it helps out a lot of these characters that, have a little bit of slow early clear. They're not able to. And we've seen it on Freya as of recent, but not too much on anyone else. Like on Scylla, I'll always get Conduit Gem just because your clear is so bad early. You want to try and get some presence. So I like to see it sprinkled in here and there. You lose some MP5, you lose some CDR, but you gain just burst damage, and that's what mid laners should have. Put a stamp on it. Trelly wants burst mid laners, and that's it. None of these hunters. I want to see big explosions.
Bro, give me back the threat of, what was it, the Archmage Nuwa whenever that first came out. Give me back the days of that threat where at any moment you never know you're going to be getting slammed by a Nuwa ultimate for like 800 damage or something like that. And I'm actually surprised we haven't seen as much Archmage. After the buff that came through, so it no longer procs off of minions, instead it's only onto enemy gods, I was a little surprised we haven't seen nearly as much of it.
Yeah, whenever you're new on, you had the Archmage's proc, you had to navigate the jungle, be like, hey, can you guys kill this for me? I want to save my big explodey
I just want to auto-attack this thing. Please don't make me use abilities.
Yeah, and then you're already saving as Deathwalker actually gets his dash caught out there. I don't think too much is going to net from it unless Ice decides to dive tower. Unless you're actually... Because you have to always save your auto attacks for your root too. You don't want to auto attack anything, so you want to save the root.
God, what a world.
Yeah, so you're just sitting around not doing anything. You're like, well, when my ult's back up, I can get active, but until then, I'm going to stand here and wait. But that's changed, so we're all good now.
It's always the worst feeling. It's like, I want to save my abilities for this proc. I need to save my autos for this proc, so please, God, somebody do something for me so I don't have to waste anything. Luckily, as you say, we are past some of that problem, at least for now. And this early first blood that's gone for Hex Mambo, not going to net anything here. Transformation out of Trixtank will instead maybe lead over to an invade at the purple buff. Rotwin uses the ultimate to disengage Trixtank and Echrome, who will then turn their side sword streak up instead, or a dash in by Echrome. Will at least put some pressure up against Streaka. Rotwin does have his Hand of the Gods and will use it to secure the purple buff. Trixtank not able to steal that one away.
Yeah, we're at the point where we're seeing double support ults for the buffs, and the Hand of the Gods was still used. So now Trixtank is just going to defend it with his life. Oh, he's actually going to jump in. I was going to say he's going to make sure no one touches that purple buff. Echrome, he's going to have to wait out that Riptide. I was going to say he's going to get back. launched underneath that tower. Good riptides there by Rotwin just to be a bit of an annoyance and force out the dash from Echrome, but their own purple buff is available. And it looks like Ice realizes that and is going to walk right past those Oracles and heads towards this purple buff. You don't turn your back, could be pulled in and gets knocked up.
Beads out of Echrome. And it's not even an ultimate used by Ice, so it's just a preemptive as a just-in-case mechanic more than anything else. Echrome at half HP under his tier 1 tower now, and just moments ago they were pushing up into enemy territory, into enemy tier 1 tower. Another ult by Azrael in the solo lane. Probably won't net much up against Deathwalker considering how tanky, or at least how much damage this tower still deals in the early game. So the early first blood by Hex Mambo has been able to net them a very small extra bit of a gold lead. I mean, we're sitting like 700 between them. Experience is basically nothing at this point, so it's really just coming off that first blood bounty.
Yeah, just a little bit of extra gold in pocket. Once again, for Ice as Echrome actually ults in just to use that as a pseudo teleport. Whenever I see a Chernobog ult in, I immediately look at the diamond on the other side. I see Streak Up has airstrike, and I'm like, he was just teleporting. Like, he's not looking for a fight. He's not looking to get too aggressive over here. Maybe force out a dash or an ultimate, something like that. But more specifically, just trying to be aggressive. Johnny might fire off the first ult of the game, and decided not to because Azrael, doesn't have any beads enabled or anything like that. Could have used the Lord of the Afterlife, but we already saw it was used earlier on onto Deathwalker. So I thought maybe a kill opportunity there as Dazzling Defensive was also up, but Johnny doesn't have much damage. Just Transcendence online, only 5 stacks at the moment, so not looking to try and burn through a level 8 Osiris just yet either.
Bro, Johnny's in power farm mode. When I see a first item Transcendence out of your jungler, I'm typically thinking, okay, he doesn't care what's happening for like another 15 minutes of this game. He is just there to get his stacks. He is just there to get his items. And we might see something around an objective. Probably the more likely what we'll see out of Johnny is once a... What just stole that? Did Rotwin steal that with the bubble?
I'm pretty sure the bubble got it, and that's why they stood there just sadly.
That does like 4 damage.
No, yeah, it doesn't do much. You gotta be pretty upset about that.
I'm upset, and I'm not even in the game.
Yeah, I saw Zeros. I was like, why isn't Zeros picking it up? I'm like, wait, it's not colored. It's like gray.
The buff is grayed out.
Yeah, it's grayed out. Someone stole that buff. So very unfortunate they're not going to pick that one up as Ice is waiting around the corner, trying to catch. Oh, the beads into the. I was going to say trying to catch Johnny out and gets the beads. No real more aggression coming that way. But purple buff last time was invaded by Ice and is still showing some face here as Trix is trying to just juke around the onslaught of bubbles heading his way.
Trix tank, 40% health. Johnny just gonna go ahead and try and clear out this purple buff. Transformation out of Trix tank. Ice waiting around. A Fear No Evil. So 2 ultimates used by the Ferrymen to defend against the purple buff. River's Rebuke doesn't find anybody. Instead, it'll be used to steal the purple buff away. Hex Mambo come out 2 ults for 1, but end up getting the ult, or actually it's 2 for 2. Even Ice using his ult
missed
during
the ult,
that one.
yeah, that's why I went, ooh, Trix just turned and jumped. It wasn't like a bait or anything. He just leaped away, and then Ice was like, oh man, like my character does that, I forgot, and wasn't able to pull him back in.
Stun onto Echrome, immuned out by the ult, but he's gonna land right back in place, dashes into the wall, catches Ice off guard, a leap in. 1 more hit is all that's needed, but Ice cannot close the distance, but does get it with the Moonlit Jaguar. That puts a second one up for him and for the Hex Mambo.
Well, I said during picks and bans that Ice has to try and get active early on this Awelix and sort of pseudo-snowball this game away, and so far so good. 2-0 is this Awelix as Johnny is trying to get aggressive onto the Yu Huang. But Gunter has the juke shoes and is going to be able to immune that and actually turn onto Zeros here.
Oh, Zeros, 1 more hit is all that's needed, but no,
Not
doesn't
enough
have
down.
the Chain Lightning auto from Gunter. The passive not active. Instead, Zeros will walk himself on out. A good body block by Johnny to bail his teammate out, but a close call nonetheless.
Come on, Gunter. You got to have your Dow, man. You got to always be cultivating that Dow.
Not cultivating enough
If you
Dow,
get
apparently.
Just so in case anyone doesn't know about Yu Huang's auto attacks, if you have enough Dow, he gets a chain lightning effect. Essentially, that would have bounced over and killed Zeros, and I would have been really hyped, but he used all of his Dow, unfortunately, so was not able to get those chain autos, and the kill gets dropped. Maybe the first one on the map going to someone that wasn't Ice. Unfortunate for Gunter. Not going to be able to finish that, and Zeros lives another day. But they did get his beats, so Gunter's beats are down. Could be an opportunity.
True. 2-0 for Hex Mambo. 10 minutes now, so that means Pyromancer is back on the map along with his older brother, the Fire Giant, though we won't see Fire for quite some time knowing these two teams. Azrael holds on to the ultimate. Will that be a regret? No, it will not. It's a double stun from the tether. Now Azrael pushed away by the Fear No Evil. Azrael still holding on to it. Actually does not have his ultimate. Never mind. That's my mistake there. but he doesn't even need it this time around. Rivers Review comes out. Johnny stuck in the middle of it, trying to find a path out. Does get clipped by Rotwin and Ice Ice, doing some good damage to hold out. But Johnny able to leap away, and Ice Ice with no blink means he cannot close that gap. Meanwhile, left side, Echrome winning the 1v1 up against Streak Up. Needs one more auto, and Echrome will find it.
Yeah, Echrome gets the return kill there, so that's pretty massive. I say return, but no one died, so not a return. Just a solid solo kill over in that duo lane. I suppose Echrome was 0-1, so we'll call it a return kill either way. But Johnny could have died there, for sure. Was very low HP. Ice Ice had the chase down. You were right to call that the blink wasn't quite available and wasn't able to close that gap, but wasn't on point with the pullback in either. And just so, the double stun from Azrael as well, just the tether. I thought maybe could be in some trouble. Then when I saw them both stunned, I was like, I think he's going to be fine. The Sacred Monkey Toss also wasn't available. So great fight after the fact. Just a long-winded brawl that resulted in nothing on the right side of the map, but a solo kill in left as Echrome was able to claim that one onto Streak Up, sending that Jingwei back to base.
But we are still sitting at about a 1,500 gold lead for Hex Mambo, so their 2 kills have been able to net them a little bit more as far as the golden XP are concerned. Those Styx are at least closing that XP gap. It's little by little, 12 minutes in, and finally starting to see some action across the board. That brawl on the right side, maybe a brawl over here by the red buff. We do see Trixtank get rooted out there by Gunter, who has gone for a Chronos Pennant in that first slot, and then a Spear of the Magus immediately afterwards.
Yeah, Gunter is going to be chunking. But I want to, is that canonically correct? That earlier on, about 10 minutes, you said that Pyromancer and Fire Giant are brothers?
I don't know. That's just what we typically
Yeah, that's what
call
I'm
them.
saying. You said Pyromancer and his older brother, Fire Giant. I just didn't know if that was canon.
I don't actually know what the lore is between our Fire Giant and our Pyromancer. I should brush up on our Smite game lore history while Zeros brushes up on the damage that's going to be coming through. The burn from Gunter in that Phoenix Fire is just enough to take him down, and now the Yu Wong is the one on the board. Gunter with a nice pick.
Yeah, we are seeing why the Discordia is not highly prioritized. Just not safe enough. The leap doesn't close enough distance. In late game, sure, you can hit some crazy abilities. The Strife can be insanely useful, but early on just can't close the gap too well. And the Yu Huang is just dominant right now in the mid lane. So Zeros is going to have some trouble. 0-2. No stacks on the Charon's coin. It's going to be looking like game 1 where you're 30 minutes in and only has 1 stack on that Charon's coin. A very different style of game. But it looks like, once again, Johnny is trying to find some aggression onto Azrael, and I don't think a kill is going to net here.
Nope, especially with Azrael now at the Tier 1 tower. Johnny not willing to dive there, even though he has Deathwalker right next to him. Not a whole lot of defense built between the two of them to continue that dive. Zero's 2 levels down in the mid lane after his second death. 1 onto Ice Ice at the start of the game, and now 1 to Gunter during that last little team fight there. And Gunter going back in towards this lost artifact tree. We'll see if he elects to go towards a Charon's coin, get a 3rd item, one of his own, maybe a Ratatouille or even a Doom Orb. All options available for Gunter.
I'm assuming the Charon's coin. If not, you have to go for the Ob Shard later on. As Ice Ice forced to beads very early on, and Trix goes into that Draconic Transformation. No one's even close, though, so I don't imagine anything will net from this unless they try to get aggressive towards that Fire Giant, or the Gold Fury, I mean. But it looks like Gunter and Rotwin are playing with fire. They are going to step up, and a stun comes through. Gunter holding on to those beads, though.
Johnny does have Fear No Evil, uses it, but Gunter got pushed away by a great Riptide out of Rotwin. Rotwin needs one of his own to get out. Ultimate from Ice Ice will be immune down, but he goes in, gets the blink, gets the Feather Step on top of Johnny. One more auto, and Ice Ice will find the pick. 6 Ferrymen continuing their push forward, but not going to go up towards the Tier 1 tower. They got their 1 pick, and they can walk themselves out.
Yeah, Azrael almost made the rotation over as well, so if Mambo tried to get aggressive, could have been disastrous, as that Osiris would have been able to hop over the wall and just continue that reign that he's just been able to have in the solo lane. Has a level lead up against Deathwalker, so he's been pretty fine. Just even though the ganks have been coming, Johnny's been trying to find some Fear No Evils onto this Osiris. Not enough. And now, looks like Pyromancer might go down. Fire Giant is going to have to watch as his brother gets slain for some gold.
Yeah, Styx Ferryman will be able to grab that one. More gold into the pockets of the Chaos side team, and more pressure on the map for them. Once they get out of base, they can march their way over to Gold Fury if they so wish to do so. There's a Trebuchet on that left side of the map. We'll see how long it takes before the Styx Ferrymen actually decide to push that one in. With a teleport from Azrael going over to the right side means we might not see that Gold Fury go down for some time. Typically, we've been seeing those solo laners rotate at least towards the middle of the map when one of these teams wants to go for an objective.
Yeah, we see Azrael rotate. We see Deathwalker split push. I think he's more of a, I'll get tower. That's going to net us more than my presence would. And I'm going to get like a 2-level lead. At the moment, a level behind. So would probably like to just split push away for a little bit longer until the late game of this match starts to go. But it looks like Trix is going to try and steal away some oracles. Getting the vision onto the Gold Fury. One of the first things you want before you try and pull it, right? As long as you as long as you have knowledge of who's around and who's near it, that's step one. Then you can try and pull and bait people in. Not going to be the name of the game, though. E-Chrome is not looking at that Gold Fury. He's mostly looking to try and get some more revenge on a streak up after that solo kill. Not revenge, just more kills, because E-Chrome got the kill. I don't know why I said revenge. E-Chrome's not mad. He got the kill. So
maybe he might still be mad.
He could be mad. It's true. Streak up, however, is looking for revenge.
Yeah, Rotwin and Streak up will team up on this left side. Johnny even lurking around over by the dual lane to try and find a pick of his own. Transcendence is fully stacked up, as well as a Brawler's Beat Stick immediately after, so trying to deal with some of the healing on the side of Styx Ferrymen. As you can see, Divine Ruin and Brawler's Beat Stick picked up by 2 of the players on Hex Mambo. Meanwhile, Styx Ferrymen aren't really playing too aggressively anywhere on the map right now. Hex Mambo grouped up towards the right-hand side, but Styx Ferrymen are pushed up towards the purple buff right now.
Yeah, and it looks like Trix is walking over that way as well, just to see if Ice was looking to get aggressive onto his dual laner. And since E-Chrome was able to back, no more aggression. One thing to note, the Styx Ferrymen did just get a Trebuchet on their side, so they might decide to push that one if need be. They can look to, where they decide to force it. There's one in mid, and there's one in left. They haven't sent either of them out just yet. Given the way this set has gone, probably would have sent it out willy-nilly. They haven't been like, hey, let's group up, or hey, let's wait for Fire Giant. They sort of just send them out early and don't pay too much attention to them. I don't think putting too much stock in the Trebuchets are either of these squads, at least in games 1 and 2. They could change it up, though, with everything on the line.
All right, now here's the play. You wait for one more spawn of the Trebuchet. You put just enough damage into the tier 1 towers on left and mid, so that way the tier 2, the tier 1 and right has the most HP.
Right.
And then you get a third Trebuchet, and you get them in all 3 of your lanes to push them down.
Okay, but like, what's the benefit of you? Or okay,
but now you get 3 Trebuchets.
Same play. You get 3 Trebuchets. They're all going down, and then you hide inside of them. You don't know where everyone's at, and eventually you'll be like, where's everyone at? Like, I see the Trebuchet, but then everyone pops out, and there's just 5 people in one lane. They get like 2 tier 2 towers. Boom.
You get a full global team, so that way you start at 1 Trebuchet. You have your one person who's maybe not a global god on your other one to try and get a pick. Just like the Hex Mambo are trying to find a pick on a streak up. They will not do so here, and this should be the end of that one. But yeah, you get like a Nox, Athena, Chernobog, something like that, and you push everybody on one side of the map, and then you use those gods to push all the way to the opposite side of the map and push a second Trebuchet. But for now, it'll only be the one in mid pushed up. It'll get a little bit of damage on this tier 1 tower, at least half of it, before that Trebuchet does go down. Now without its minions, Trebuchet can't fire any further. Johnny does find a Fear No Evil onto Rotwin, but not going to find a whole lot of follow-up damage. Rotwin still holding on to Ever's Rebuke. A good Riptide will force the beads out of E-Chrome to dash through. Trixtank ends up walking through it a second time, but Trixtank uses the sprint. He's going to dash himself away. Pull does not come through from Ice. Instead, it's transformed by Trixtank. Stunned up and Feather Step over, but it's a 1-for-1 as Johnny finds one during the fight. Both supports are out, but so is Johnny. Azrael's rotation nets a second kill for the Styx Ferrymen. But unfortunately for the Ferrymen, their carries are the ones in danger. Ice finds Zeros. Gunter gets some damage onto Deathwalker, but not going to be quite enough. Gunter walks away with a sliver of HP, as does Streak Up, and it's a 3-for-1 for Styx Ferrymen.
I really thought that Gunter was going to be falling there. Only Rotwin goes down. Massive teleport in from Azrael getting there first. Able to make sure that Ice gets 4 kills to his name after that fight, and it looks like the Gold Fury actually will be pulled here. Deathwalker's close by and should be able to hear it once he walks up. And it looks like E-Chrome is also on the way, but no ultimate available. This is just going to be like, hey, I see you, and I'm going to try to steal it away. Doesn't have too much damage. That shield's not stacked up.
Might not be able to. Styx Ferrymen do get the Gold Fury, so the first major of the neutral objectives does go down, and we see our first significant gold lead of the game, 3,500 up for Styx Ferrymen. The XP, not nearly as much, only sitting about half, 1,700 that Ferrymen have over the opposition as of now. But what a scattered team fight we get in the left side, and that pushes up large enough for Styx Ferrymen to regroup, recuperate, and now take a Gold Fury.
Yeah, I haven't been really seeing the value of this Hoonbats. The Fear No Evils, we saw a few of them in right lane and solo, didn't really net much, and then that one essentially netted in a purple buff invade and then running away. All the DPS from the ult was used just to steal it away. So not really looking for too many ganks is this Hoonbats, but Johnny could just be playing for the late game, right? You only have 20% CDR right now. Maybe once you upgrade that Bumba's, you start to get a little bit more active. Could just be the Bumba Spear, and that wouldn't change anything. But Bumba's Hammer could give you some more ults, things like that. And then Johnny might look for more ganks. And given the fact that Zeros is so far behind, maybe that's the reason. You don't want to be fighting with an 0-3 Discordia, forcing her to get active and help you out, because I don't think you have one-shot potential given the way that Johnny's itemized, and the opposition is just so tanky. Everyone but like Ice and Gunter, and even Gunter has so much survivability.
And Gunter going for a little bit more now as he goes back to base. Soul Gem picked up for this Yu Huang, and this is an item that we've been seeing pop up a little bit more recently in mid, specifically with these Yu Huangs. It is this Soul Gem pickup, that extra little bit of burst damage, some of that extra sustain that comes his way as well. It seems to be a very popular item on this god.
Yeah, I just think it's a great item. The stats for how cheap it is just so strong. The fact that you get HP, CDR, regen for yourself and your team, as well as the damage, just goes a long way. And it looks like Johnny spots out this Pyromancer. Has the Blink ult available, but Rotwin also spots out Johnny and says, no, I'm going to stand here so you can't go in. But he still goes for it.
Pyromancer goes to the Styx Ferrymen, and a Fear No Evil goes to the wayside. Johnny uses it to try and steal it away, but unsuccessful in doing so. Styx Ferrymen add more gold to their pockets and continue to push up their lead. But Hex Mambo are still sticking around, even despite the fact that ultimate didn't get a whole lot of value from Johnny. Even Ekrom using his ult during that last little skirmish. Seems that it was used over on the left side to chase Streak Up out, but that lead that Streak Up had, or that Ekrom had over Streak Up, has gone down to essentially nothing at this point.
Nope, Ekrom hit 21st, he wins.
Okay.
Yeah,
essentially doesn't mean it is nothing.
Well, it was just right as you were talking, he ticked over to 20.
Yeah, that's how it always happens. Like,
Yep.
we're talking about, like, oh man, you got like a 4-level lead, ticks over. Okay, you got a 3-level lead.
Yeah,
Things like that. That's how it always ends up.
That's what you want if you're Ekrom. You want to say, I hit 21st, I got the solo kill. No matter what happens in this game, in this set, I won lane. You guys let me down.
Is that like the solo lane mentality? You take their tier 1 first, no matter how the game goes, you won lane because you took tower first?
Oh, I think in duo lane it's more so first auto attack. It's Ice. I was going to say, like, Ekrom sees you, so you're not going to be able to blink behind him. There's not going to be too much fight here. He'll dash into a wall. But yeah, first auto attack in duo lane, that's what I call win. First one to hit the auto, you're just the better hunter player. That's it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't take into account the supports. I don't care if you got blink you mirrored and you beads and based on accident and there was just no way. If you get auto attacked first, you lost lane.
So for hunters in dual lane specifically, it's first auto wins. Solo lane, it's first tower wins. What is it for mid lane? Is it just like the person who died the least throughout the game at that point?
Yeah, I don't like right now. It's pretty clear that Gunter is having a better game.
Gunter's
than
winning
Zeros.
right now.
Yeah, it's 1-0 versus
1-0.
0-3. I would say that one's pretty obvious, but. Late game, it's just whoever wins the game. I think that's how you can decide the mid laners, right? It's whoever's on the winning team, they did better.
So cheesy.
Yeah, well, I don't know what else to go for. What,
So cheesy.
First ability hit? That's just lame.
I don't know. I think you can go with first ability hit. Then again, I did say first tower, at least for the solo laner. So in that instance, Deathwalker has won the solo lane, even despite the fact that he's sitting at 0-0 and 0, where Azrael is at that 1-0 and 2. So who knows? Maybe it's just whoever gets the first kill of the solo lane gets the win there. For now, though, 24 minutes into the game, Styx Ferrymen's lead that they've been building up has at least been set to an even state at the moment. It's only 3K. It hasn't climbed up much more than there. 3,500 really the largest lead that Styx Ferrymen have been able to build up over Hex Mambo. And Hex Mambo are still willing to put up these fights to these objectives.
Yeah, if this was game 2, I mean, Mambo were up plenty of gold at this moment. They were looking at their Fire Giant dance, that sort of thing. And Styx Ferrymen were still able to fight back in late game. So definitely a different look at the set thus far. The Styx Ferrymen have the lead. They've got the 4-0 Ice on a Wheelix. And Johnny's actually the one who's been pretty ineffective on the Hoonbats, which is kind of the complete opposite from game number 2. So you got to give some credit over to Ice, able to bounce back. And on a pick like a Wheelix, who is so mechanically difficult, right? You have to make sure you're hitting these. We've seen a few missed gravity pulls in, just to make sure that off the leaps, I think could have netted a few more kills. But either way, 4-0 and 3, a part of every single kill on the map. You got to give some credit over to Ice.
Oni Fury started up by the Ferrymen. Ekrom is here, and so is Trixtank. Opportunities to steal it are there, unless Ice will disrupt the backline, puts Ekrom at critical health. But the crits raining in by Ekrom are enough to at least push Hex Mambo away. Wait.
Mambo got it. It was
Hex
Johnny.
Mambo stole away the Fury Sacred Monkey Toss. out of the Hun Pats, able to grab it. 300 damage, and nice steal by Johnny.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I was just talking about how much value Ice got. Just kidding, baited. Johnny's actually the best. Steals the Fury with the monkey toss. It was all part of an act. He wanted to just bait them into a false sense of security that they could go for. Didn't even, the Sacred Monkey Toss is one of those abilities you can't account for, right? You can't be like, we'll body block it. It's just going to bounce around no matter what happens. So you just have to try and outburst it. And unfortunately for the Styx, Ferrymen just did not have the damage to do so. Ice was doing a good job of zoning, too. He saw Echrome step up and was like, I'm not letting this occur. Like, I'm walking up. I'm going to try and 1v1 him. And then Echrome got a ton of crits, and Ice was like, maybe I should go. Like,
Yeah, maybe I leave.
Yeah, like with the Wind Demon, with the Atalanta's bow, like, I don't actually want to trade with you anymore. I've used all my abilities, hop on Suku right away, and then Monkey Toss comes in for the steal.
Yeah, he says, your crits are pretty cool. I see the door. I will see my way out of this fight. I am no longer a part of this one, but good zoning by Ice is just not enough, as you said. Sacred Monkey Toss, a little bit of randomness as to where exactly it bounces. You hope that it doesn't bounce the objective, but in this case, Johnny does come up fruitful. A brief pause in the action while Deathwalker tries to get himself reset into the game itself. But Hex Mambo able to fight back again, despite being down 3,000 gold, and despite that Johnny hasn't been able to get the most favorable ultimates throughout the course of this game, able to find one over at the purple buff that was mostly just to start a fight for a purple buff,
Yep.
one at the Pyromancer to try and steal the Pyromancer, but doesn't get that one there. Johnny's still able to find some success in the jungle and keep his team alive.
So Mambo got the Trebuchet, and immediately Deathwalker sends it down mid. So I'm expecting to see some form of grouping around this, or at least, some presence shown. Like, hey, okay, they're at the Trebuchet. Maybe we can go for this. Pyromancer's about to spawn in here shortly. Maybe some aggression towards that. Because if you're not sending them out with a purpose, they're just marching to die.
He's just running the Beyblade mentality. Just let it rip.
Yeah, but no, I don't want to let it rip. Look at them. There's two soldiers with fire swords marching with this. They think they have a purpose. They think they're going for something.
Look, we've been over this, Charlie. The minions spawn in every day knowing that they're going to die at the end of it, but they're still willing to commit to their job.
Not all of them. Whenever you win, your minions party with you if they're there at the Titan. So there's a few of them that get to...
There are a few, but they move on to the next day of work. They're the ones who come out.
They're first in line next day.
They're the last ones in. They're the last ones out and the first ones in.
Well, that's unfortunate. Then I thought maybe...
It truly is.
I thought maybe if they
Maybe
were...
they get a vacation.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they're there when the Titan goes down, maybe they get to take a break or something like that as we see Pyromancer back up.
They get a week of PTO for surviving.
As Azrael's going to take this one up. Maybe a possible steal once again. Johnny is here, but not going to get it.
No, Styx Ferrymen get the Pyromancer this time around. Trix Tank finds a stun, gets rooted out. And that's about it. No more fight from Hex Mambo. I thought maybe there would be a little bit more there. The Phoenix Fire thrown out by Gunter. And some good damage on the Tier 1. So that Trebuchet putting in work, evening it out the damage that was done to both of these Tier 1 towers from, honestly, both of those Trebuchets. It's only been the Trebuchets dealing damage to those two towers in mid. Styx Ferrymen still holding on to one. That's sitting over in the dual lane. Hasn't been sent out just yet. Not sure what the Styx Ferrymen are waiting for to send that out. Maybe send a push and start up Fire Giant?
Yeah, that's what I think they've been doing. Because they sent the one out mid, but the one in left, they've been holding in secret, waiting, trying to force maybe Echrome over there, trying to use that global ultimate to, if you are going to stop this, you have to, use that ultimate to join the fight. But I think that works in both areas. Gunter takes a ton of damage, and Johnny teleports in. He's got ult here.
Does use the ult, but it's a little bit early. Gunter only takes a little bit of the CC from it, but Zeros pops Rodwin in the back line. Dueling Dragon comes out, doesn't find anybody. Streak Up will manage to get himself back to the Tier 1 tower. Gunter way far back in the line of fire. He's all the way back in the Tier 2 tower before he's able to go back to base. And Hex Mambo with their one pick will start up the fire.
It's only Streak Up who's walking up to try and defend this, and he's going to get met with a bunch of stuns from Trix Tank. Already used the beads, and oh yeah, that Fire Giant is already dead.
That is a melted Fire Giant and a melted Streak Up. No ultimate, no dash, and no health left. Echrome picks up his second kill of the game, the second on his enemy, and the fourth one for Hex Mambo.
Yeah, and they're going to run it down here. They have plenty of time. Rodwin's not up for 8 seconds, so the right side Phoenix should be going down extremely quick. Only Azrael's here, and with the auto attacks from Echrome, Trix, Johnny, yeah, this should be gone, and it already is. And they're gone now.
Completely gone is the Phoenix. Still 4 towers left standing on the map, so a little early for Hex Mambo to maybe try and go for one of these game-ending pushes, but Tier 1 tower was already crippled down earlier because of the Trebuchet. Tier 2 or Tier 1 in left lane, also very low, can be dropped by Johnny at any given opportunity. So now comes to the Styx Ferrymen is Charlie, if you're in their position, do you put up a defense at your Tier 2 towers now at this point, Or are you just waiting for those Phoenix Sieges to come through?
Yeah, just wait for Streak Up to get the Deathbringer again, and then get a Penta and win the game.
Oh, easy. It's just that simple.
It's what they did last game. I mean, it can't be that hard, right? They already did it.
They have done it once. Doing it again might be a little bit difficult, but anything is possible in the game of Smite. Hex Mambo, for the first time this game, have been able to get a lead for themselves now. 2,000 up from a 5K gold swing that happened just earlier on. I mean, look at the spike. And that golden XP as well. 7,200 XP jumps up into the favor of Hex Mambo, who now finally have control of this game.
Yeah, Primal Fury about to spawn in here, and that tier 1 tower in the left is also very weak. So I don't think the Styx Ferrymen are going to get too much use out of that Trebuchet. Maybe just launch it when the Phoenix Siege begins, and it can help you out in displaying some of the aggression from Hex Mambo, right? You just sort of hope that those auto attacks land, and they have to put a little bit of extra presence towards that. But the tier 2 tower on left is already being looked at, as it looks like Deathwalker and Johnny are pushing down mid as well, splitting a bit of the presence from the Ferrymen. But they've given up on mid lane. They are focused all on this left side tier 2 as the Trebuchet got launched.
Well, Trebuchet sent 4. That'll be a second line of defense, at least for the Styx Ferrymen. They'll have something to try and bat against some of the minions and some of the gods that walk up for Hex Mambo. But for now, Hex Mambo take out tier 2 tower, both left and mid, so it's only Phoenixes left to defend. Echrome gets sent back in by a Riptide from Rotwin, and now with the Hunter at half HP, a slight disengage from Hex Mambo, as Echrome can try and sustain off of some of these minions. Got a decent bit of lifesteal into his build right now, so he'll get back up to a fairly healthy number.
Yeah, Rotwin's been pretty on point with these Riptides, even though the team's not doing so hot at the moment. Just been able to displace so much, force out some relics, that sort of thing. Trix leads the charge in, and it looks like another Riptide is going to pull back in Deathwalker and stun him in place. So going to have to be a little bit careful here. You got to watch out. Rotwin's always on point with those.
Rotwin does have ultimate, will use it. That's going to lock 2 in place. Trixang and Deathwalker. Luckily for Trixang, he can leap over the wall. Azrael does eat the golden apple. No fear, no evil. Will separate 4 players from the fight. Azrael able to jump himself out. Trixang up into draconic form. Now has a potential re-engage. Does get riptided right back in. The coerce is available, and that left side Phoenix is getting melted by Hex Mambo. It will fall down for the second one.
Yeah, the second bird is down. Only mid stands tall now, but not enough health bars. Trix is very low after getting riptided back in after the ult. So probably not wanting to go for that mid Phoenix just yet. Grab the Primal Fury back up, spend some of that gold that you just accrued over the siege at hand, and maybe get ready for the Pyromancer that's spawning in as well. I don't imagine in the next 26 seconds with the Fire Giant buff spawning off, we'll see a run it down mid sort of style of play. Maybe an enhanced Fire Giant is a better option for Hex Mambo to continue this lead and, you know, cross their T's and dot their I's, that sort of thing. It's about time that they go for their last team fight of the game.
It really feels like Johnny specifically has knocked the wind out of the sails of the Ferrymen, because it all started back over at that Gold Fury earlier on, where Johnny gets a Sacred Monkey Toss. It's able to steal away the objective, and then from that point on, the Ferrymen have been very shy about jumping onto objectives, jumping in towards team fights. It really does feel like Johnny has completely halted the momentum of Styx Ferrymen, and now with that one objective steal, with the subsequent team fights after, Hex Mambo have pulled this game right back to their favor. It's a 8,000 gold lead that they have over Styx Ferrymen once this Pyromancer goes down. And Fire Giant about to respawn as well. I mean, Hex Mambo are set up to take this last objective.
So does Johnny get credit for it, or does the Monkey Toss get credit for it? Because when
Johnny threw the monkey.
No, but when he does it, Humbat says, "Go, monkey, go!" So he's telling him what to do. If anything, the monkey's the one who stole it.
Do you praise the leader, or do you praise the soldier?
When I say yeah, that's fair. When I see a good Kraken steal, I don't say, "Man, that Kraken did a good job." I say, you know,
Poseidon did a good job of placing that Kraken.
Yeah, so that's my bad. I guess I have to back up.
Azrael
walks into a trap.
HP, gets rooted out, has to use the ult to get out, and that is enough of a call for Ferrymen to back away. Now the Fire Giant has respawned in. Hex Mambo can easily take this enhanced Fire Giant, and I do mean easily. It is completely shredding away under the might of the carries of Hex Mambo. Echrome up into the sky. Will he crash down? It'll be over towards Rotwin. Azrael in the backline. Doesn't have ultimate this time. Fear no evil is good by Johnny to separate the team fight out, and another golden apple hits the dome of Azrael. That'll force him to back away, but Eyesight is still going aggressive. Deathwalker finds 3 with the stun, but not a whole lot of follow back to Trixang. Finds Eyesight and finds the first kill of the team fight.
Yeah, and it looks like Hex Mambo are in a position to try and chase this one down. Rotwin's going down with the jump from Johnny, and it looks like if Trix gets enough time, may have another leap here and go in, and he will, and he'll find Azrael.
Does find the stun. Azrael eating a little bit of poke, but the return fire from Styx Ferrymen, the healthier members of Styx Ferrymen, able to push back these lower HP targets. Johnny able to resustain himself up inside of the jungle. Deathwalker will go up the right side. Phoenix that had just respawned will immediately be taken away. And a quick beeline from Hex Mambo over towards the mid Phoenix.
Yeah, Johnny was chaining his abilities up against that speed buff. Already Fear No Evil is back up. And this Titan is going to be toast if it gets a massive ultimate here.
Versus 5. Gunter does have his ultimate, so keep an eye on that. Johnny uses his on Streak Up, and he is gone. E-Chrome eliminated, but Gunter finds damage onto E-Chrome, but that is not going to be enough. Hex Mambo in Game 3, 34 minutes and 40 seconds. Find themselves the win, and they maintain their undefeated record.
So we figured out the strat. Whenever Hex Mambo's ahead early, they're going to have a little bit of a struggle towards the late game. But all they have to do is lose early, and then the game doesn't take an hour. They win this one in 34 minutes. Superior objective play, but I still think that the Ferrymen, just unfortunate steal there by Johnny. I mean, if that monkey doesn't steal that gold, I think you're right to highlight it. Just seemed like the momentum certainly goes the way of Hex Mambo after that. Everything after the fact, the picks, the objective play, the Fire Giant, just seems to go the way of Mambo.
Hex Mambo able to find a nice win in game number 3 that puts them up 2-1 for the set. And a very low kill count game. I mean, up until that last little push there, I mean, the scoreboard was only 4-7 total. I mean, we're seeing a Fire Giant push 28 minutes in, and the scoreboard is 3-7 at that point. But one little pick here and there is slowly able to bring Hex Mambo back in. Remember, after that kill, after that Fire Giant, they were still down. And then this final team fight in, Trixtank. I think Trixtank finds 3 different stuns and 3 different occasions with this Dragon transformation. The amount of time that he was able to leap in during this one elongated team fight. He found one at the start, finds one there on Ice, and he'll find another one just a little bit later on.
Yeah, and it's one thing to find like 4-man coerces during a Fire Giant siege or during a Phoenix. He found 2 4-man coerces during the team fight. So a phenomenal grouping by Mambo, but also just great placement of this buff to make sure that his whole team was just having this massive boon in attack speed. And you saw how quickly they were able to find the kills. Azrael was on the back line and just had to immediately disengage because he's like, wait, they're attacking me very quickly. I want to leave through this.
Yeah, Gunter's still able to put up 27K, and he actually found like a 3 or 4 man route in that last little team fight, something that maybe didn't get highlighted enough. Maybe that's a little bit on me for slighting him there. I mean, Gunter put out some serious work on this Yu Huang, able to find a kill at the very end of the game as well. He ends 2-0-4. So strong performance out of Styx Ferrymen. Can't slight them at all in the performance that they had today. It's just when you're going up against a veteran talent team like Hex Mambo, expectations are for Hex Mambo to make a clean sweep out there. But at least for the Ferrymen, able to take one game off them is at least a good sign of hope. We'll take a look at the schedule to see what all you've missed for the EU SCC earlier in the week. Gladiators found a 2-1 over the Wargs. The Ravens found a 2 over the Scorpions. And then today, Hex Mambo with a 2-1 over the Styx Ferrymen. That's going to put the Hex Mambo still in that #1 slot for the EU SCC, remaining undefeated, set-wise undefeated, but still a couple of games dropped throughout. 3-0 for them. Styx Ferrymen in the middle of the lower end of the middle of the pack.
It's a perfect mirror. You got 3-0, 2-1, 2-1, 1-2, 1-2, 0-3. So just a perfect mirror at the moment. And this is sort of how phase 1, week 1 of the USCC started, that sort of thing. And then it started changing. It started shifting. The Mambo went from the bottom to the top. We saw a lot of different shifts in that. So I'm not cementing these teams. Right now, the Mambo look great. They look nigh unstoppable. But they've shown that they can bleed in that game number 2. They were able to find the loss there. So I'm not giving up just yet on hope of just, top tier #1 spot of the Mambo. I love seeing an undefeated squad, though. I'm going to keep my eyes on them.
Well, I got some good news for the fans at home. SMITE Esports isn't done yet. In fact, we're only just getting started. Our first set was the SCC, and now we move into the SMITE Pro League. That's going to be coming up in just a few minutes, right after this break.